back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on?
What up, T-Money?
I don't know. I was on a trip. I went to Ohio, Indiana, Detroit. I'd never been to Detroit before. I'd passed through the airport, but I was with a friend and we were visiting a streamer friend of his in Detroit and Dearborn. And I've only ever been to the coast, people say everyone has a really negative opinion of Detroit. And Detroit seemed totally fine. I wasn't in the big, I'm sure the city has a lot of development going on. I was in the suburbs of Detroit, a lot of brick houses that look exactly the same. But we went bowling. I got a feel for the people because everyone there bowling. Not a single person in the bowling alley had correct form, by the way. It was excellent. If you want a no judgment bowling zone, you can go bowling in Dearborn, Michigan. I expected it to be the worst place I've ever visited. The worst place I've ever visited is still San Jose, California. If we have any listeners from San Jose, California, I am hoping that you can move out as soon as possible because I feel really bad for you. Maybe consider Dearborn or Detroit.
Okay.
That's my story.
That's a hot take. Most people don't advocate to move to Detroit.
Yeah, the main thing I got out of going to Detroit and not having a terrible time and thinking I kind of liked the vibe, the main thing it did was reinforce my hatred of San Jose, California. Just my time in San Jose was just the absolute worst in terms of the people I met, in terms of how expensive everything was for how kind of shitty the area is, in terms of visible crimes happening, in terms of being harassed by mentally ill people, just the worst place.
Yeah, that whole area, Alters, I despise that whole area. Plus, the freeways are terrible. Plus, driving over multiple bridges sucks. It's awful. I agree with you. It's not the worst place because that's Palmdale. But yeah.
So we were just talking before the show started about whether or not we like talking about ourselves. And
yes.
Going into this topic, something I do like talking about a lot is how much I hated my trip to San Jose.
You have indulged us before about your hatred of San Jose. Our San Jose listeners, no wonder we got those bad reviews. I bet if we checked locations, it would be San Jose, California.
I was in a rental car and we stopped short. It wasn't the shortest stop I'd ever been in. But my friend had his phone paired to the car to play music. And we stopped short because a car pulled out in front of us, and the car immediately called 911. We had someone talking to us through the radio in 2 seconds. We didn't even know what happened. Is that a thing?
Wait, why? Were you actually in an accident?
No, this was 100%. The car could not have thought we crashed. And it wasn't even slam on the brakes. It was just a pretty short stop. And the car automatically called 911.
So the rental car called 911?
Yes.
That's weird. So our robot overlords are coming for us.
Yes.
Skynet is real.
If my car had flipped over on its side and I was upside down, I would be oh, thank God, my car automatically called 911. This is great. But I guess when they're programming that computer, they have to err on the side of it being too aggressive because they don't want it to not dial in a case where it might dial. But even if you get into a fender bender, are you going to call 911? That's crazy, right?
I don't know. Maybe it was a Detroit thing.
Anyway, no one cares about what the 911
No one cares about your trip.
Things, but what's going on with you?
Oh, just trying to duck COVID as it lives in my house.
Oh, yeah. You've been doing a pretty good job, though. And your son.
Yeah. No, well, it's funny because, my wife got COVID. She had a different infection before. She thinks her immunity was weakened. And her hospital policies on COVID are wild. It's wild. You could basically have COVID at her work and go to work as long as you don't feel sick. This is a hospital.
That seems really bad.
Yeah, they're just whatever. So, and she told me that. I'm are you kidding me? And she's yeah, we only have to wear PPE here and here. Because I was she's probably full PPE. But then I'm oh yeah, you definitely got COVID at work because I didn't get it. But she figures her immunity system was kind of on the mend because she was on some medications and stuff to clear up a viral infection. Or not viral, bacterial. I don't know what it is. So it's a UTI. It's a pretty common thing that women get. So anyways, she was dealing with that. Then she got COVID. So yeah, it's been in the house for a week now, and yeah, I've been dinking and dodging and
Dinking?
duck. yeah, duck, dip, dive, all the dodgeball Ds. Yeah, I've been doing that with COVID and managed to not test positive yet. There's still hope for me. My wife, we've been at it a week. She still is not negative yet. She's got like a super faint pink line still happening. So who knows what's going on with that? But I like wore a mask around her and I won't be in like the same room and I'm like trying to maintain distance. Meanwhile, my son, who has also been negative this whole time, is just sleeping on her face. He's just like, nope, I'm going to go. Like I tried to keep him with me the first day, like, okay, no, we got to give mom her space. And like, we're going to sleep in your bedroom and just me and you. He went for that for about, I don't know, 3 hours in the middle of the night, then climbed out of the bed and immediately went and laid in the bed with mom. So yeah. And and that's where he's remained, laying on her face as close to her as possible, still testing negative. So
should I call Child Protective Services? I mean, it sounds like
you can if you like. Yeah, I'm putting my child at risk. I know. I'm sure there's a bunch of you judging me, but like whatever. You live in a house with a small child and try to keep them from their mother. Go ahead while they're in the same house and can be seen. It's not happening.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well,
it's cool.
Johnny, do you want to talk about Nintendo games again?
Oh, that's your transition? That is a weak ass transition.
All right.
You want to talk about something else that's sick? Let's talk about Nintendo games. Yeah.
You know what? This is good. This might be a collector's quest first. So episode 201, we're actually going to talk about the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh, you've probably never heard of it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about full set lists, and we're going to talk about lists being bad, and we're going to talk about weird games that are on the edge of those lists.
And how you could pare that list out. Yeah, well, I'm also going to like spit out some numbers and variables. Like I'm going to give a few incarnations of like what your list could look like, what the number could look like, because everybody is super comfortable with the idea of 677 or 676, whatever that. They're always caveating that one, like 676, 677. But anyways, these are the two most famous numbers in video game collecting. Everybody knows this. Besides saying what is the print run of every game that's rare? I heard they only make 500.
10,000.
Or 5,000, like whatever. There's like 10 numbers in video game collecting. 677 and 676 are probably the most popular. So we're going to use the NES list. And the reason I really wanted to focus on the NES list is because the NES list is really the foundation for so many of our other lists. This is like, Etler made his list and Nintendo Age like glommed onto that and everyone else is built off of it. Every other system has kind of used this as the blueprint for what they count and what they don't count. So this is like the foundational list, I think, for like all video game lists, for the most part, not universally, but definitely has a high level of impact throughout collecting. And so I want to just challenge some of the assumptions, come up with different numbers, and see if we redid it today, if it would be different.
You see,
and
I definitely would be different today because I think people approach disc-based consoles from a slightly different perspective, especially when it comes to things like box sets. Like some people count them and some people are like, it's a box set, whatever.
Yep.
So, we're gonna let's reconsider the NES list. Is that the title of this episode? Reconsidering the NES set list or something.
I like that. That's pretty good. You can write that down.
All right, we'll workshop.
If I hate it, I'll change it and not tell you.
Literally, you don't. I put these terrible titles all the time, and the one time I'm like, if your house burned down and you were destitute and had to only buy 10 Nintendo games, and these were only 10 Nintendo games, these are what you would rebuild your collection from scratch with, and you're like, no, we're just going to change that to top 10 collectible Nintendo games. Just make it sound like the most boring article.
Clickbaity. Yeah, exactly. Well, I figure our people are going to listen to it regardless, or they're going to ignore it because they don't want to hear about Nintendo. So anyways, I tried to make it a little clickbaitier, also because I want it to be a series, and your title was a little clunky. I didn't like it. Right, so I executive decisioned it. Hey, it's not the first title I've changed. Sometimes I just like change one or two words or add some punctuation. I've done that a few times.
Oh, okay. All right.
Some stealth Yeah, there's some. I mean, they're so innocuous that you wouldn't care. And most people will be like, Johnny, why are you even checking that thing? It's like, I don't know. I look sometimes.
You know what? As someone currently going through the Game Boy list to try to like, not, it's impossible to 100% it, but I'm trying to like 95% get everything to as good as I want it. Things like a missing the and a missing colon, and it's driving me up the wall because you download just a random list. I used your list, and I realized your list is pretty old, but like every title I disagree with, Johnny. And then you go to the Nintendo age list, the old Nintendo age list for Game Boy. Fucking like the Addams Family Pugsley Scavenger Hunt is probably called Addams Family Pugsley Scavenger Hunt. They just like completely just ditched the. It's not like a hidden the. There are some hidden thes. Oh man, I hate lists.
Yeah,
hate names.
I mean, yeah, you know, the comma the at the end is like pretty. There's even some programs that will take lists and like when you're porting over. Like doing a delimiting, like a lot of times it'll ask you, like if you're loading it into Access, it'll be like, hey, do you want to comma these, or do you want to keep these thes up front? There's a way some programs will do that for you, because thes are terrible for having an alphabetical list.
You know what? It's part of the title. I'm keeping it. I don't care. And there's this.
I just think there should. Yeah, I mean, my stance on list names. There should be whatever's written on the cart, whatever's written on the front of the box, the top of the box, the side of the box, in the manual, and then like what do we actually call it?
All right, yeah. I mean, yes, there are always multiple ways, but I'm just trying to come up with one for each. There's a site, it's currently down, that's kind of funny, but it's game-boy-database.com, and it's just one of the many sources I've been using to like 100% that I have everything kind of correct. They will just take parts of titles and put them into parentheses. So like Disney's Aladdin becomes Aladdin parentheses Disney. But then like the Addams Family Pugsley Scavenger Hunt would become Pugsley Scavenger Hunt parentheses Addams Family. But they got rid of the. So is it Pugsley Scavenger Hunt parentheses Addams Family comma the? And then all of a sudden it's like, why are we doing any of this at all? It has a title. It's The Addams Family Pugsley Scavenger Hunt. Just put that. Stop just switching things all over the place. And man, I'm talking to Joe, and Joe is like, yeah, you know what? I just kind of gave up on titles because everything gets moved all over the place, and I want like series to stick together. So he'll have Solomon's Key, and then he'll name Fire and Ice. He'll call it Solomon's Key 2, Fire and Ice. And
Which
if you don't know,
in PAL.
Solomon's Key 2, that's what it's called in Europe, but he combined the European and American names into a name that exists nowhere just to make them together on the list. Oh, it drives me crazy.
So, yeah, in that case, what I do is, because I understand that want and need, and that's why I want a column in there that says series. And that's like in my database, that's what I have. I have a series flag. So it's like, okay, these are series, so I can go alphabetical by series, and then like things like that can come up. So if I need to see it.
I mean, there are games that are in the same series that aren't just series name 2, series name 3. Like Secret of Monkey Island 2, and then like The Curse of Monkey Island and Escape from Monkey Island. Those aren't going to be together on a list, and we just have to be okay with that.
Yeah, it's hard. Like if you look at Castlevania X and Super Castlevania 4, right? Your Castlevanias aren't going to be next to each other, unfortunately, in the Super Nintendo. Because I know I had that dilemma when I was putting them next to each other. I'm like, man, if I'm thinking about, I want to go grab my Castlevania from a shelf perspective, right? Where do I put it? Because where it is on the shelf is also like a completely different thing. Do you put it where alphabetically it should be? Like, what if the title on the side of the box doesn't match up to what it is on the front? Like, there's so many edge cases. Naming conventions are hard. Also, when you have multiple part item, like Nintendo games, multi-component, and each person might be, or not each person, different people might be responsible for different parts. You see how we don't agree on titles? Now imagine that at a factory level. Like the guy doing the manual doesn't give a shit what the guy doing the box does. So the guy, like, just writing on the internal of the manual. So he's like, I'm just going to call this the Addams Family Pugsley Scavenger Hunt. Or he's like, oh, that's redundant. I'm just going to always list this as Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that on the front. You're like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? So, yeah, that's just, it's a really common problem. It's fucking horrible. And that's why I told you, you just got to have multiple name boxes and then whatever the preferred name is. And it's awful, like, if you're, like, trying to buy games or, like, looking up price charting and you, like, want to do VLOOKUPs or whatever. So it would be nice if every game was given a unique ID. So regardless of title, we just had a unique ID for everything. So, like, okay, I just want to download this list, and then every game we agreed has a unique ID, and that's applied universally, so I can link. Everybody can name it whatever they want as long as we have this one universal ID.
So that's what stamp catalogs do. I'd love if that existed for video games. The problem is we just all have to agree to trust, and there could be multiple catalogs and multiple different ID numbers, but we all have to kind of put our stock into some catalog company to get everything correctly. Because when you get down to, like, Punch-Out and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, is that ID this and ID this -B, or are those two different IDs?
No, those are two separate IDs. Those aren't the same game. They're not the same game.
They're literally the same game.
They are not the same game.
They are two different versions of the same game, and
who do you fight at the end?
It doesn't matter who you fight at the end.
Yes, it is.
Can you beat both blindfolded if you know the audio cues?
Fighting Mr. Dream is different than fighting Mike Tyson.
It's not if you're blindfolded.
It says the guy who's never beat Punch-Out. Get out of here.
100%. Maybe Mr. Dream's easier. I don't know. I've never played it.
Mike Tyson has a signature move. You can't, like, replicate that. It's not the same. It's not the same. Different game. Like, I mean, I argue that Probotector and Contra aren't the same. The sprite changes everything. Changes the whole context. Yeah, like, physically the gameplay is nearly identical, but the idea of robots fighting aliens is a lot different than people fighting aliens.
Nah.
No,
they're the same game. They are absolutely.
No, you do the same thing.
I think
so. Any game where you scroll sideways and shoot a thing is the same. That's all the same.
All right. I 100% agree that the concept of, like, shooting robots versus shooting people, like, different emotional reaction, changes the story context, changes a lot about the game, but it doesn't change the game itself. It's the same as Han shooting first in Star Wars. That whole scene is changed based on whether Han shoots first, second, or simultaneously, whether his head shifts in a weird way that takes you out of the movie. But it doesn't make Star Wars a different movie from Star Wars. Han doesn't shoot first.
It does make it a different movie. It's called the Special Edition.
Oh my fucking God.
They see how they gave it a different title so you wouldn't be confused.
Different unique ID number.
Yep.
All right, Johnny, do we want to get into
the list? Talk about,
before we even get into the list, let's talk about what criteria that we're trying to make a list of, because we can't just roll in and be like, we're just gonna randomly fuck up this list of 677 that everybody loves.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, talk about the criteria, and remember, I'm gonna do some things that are on the edge on purpose just to challenge the assumptions. What I say does not necessarily mean what I agree with, but I'm just gonna present some scenarios.
All right. We're starting with the quote-unquote licensed list of US NES games. Not NTSC. I'm just going to get off on another tangent. The US and NTSC do not mean the same thing. Hong Kong is an area that uses NTSC video signals, so you would have to include games like Hong Kong Mahjong if you're including the NES list, and that game is rarer than stadium events, so stop saying NTSC to describe your set.
Well, it's like when people say PAL in Europe are the same thing. I'm like, that's not actually true. Do you know they have PAL video signals in Africa? Like, people don't understand that. Like, it's just tech speak. It's just tech speak for how many frames are being shown. It's okay. It's like, this is, we do not, we just use these words because we thought they were delineators, but we didn't know what we were talking about when we glommed onto them.
Also, like, Japan is an NTSC region, but
Yes, they are.
I understand that PAL is like video encoding. It doesn't designate a region of the world. But when I say like fuck PAL games, I don't want PAL games, I am jokingly using PAL to dismiss an entire region because it's kind of the wrong way to describe that region of video games.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, also people say that about like Game Boy games. Game Boy games aren't PAL.
Yes, Game Boy games have no region encoding at all.
Yeah, people are like, oh, they're PAL. I'm like, no, they're like, oh, that's a PAL one. And I've been guilty of that because you just want people to understand that it's not from America. It's probably from Europe, but they aren't PAL. That is not true.
They're trash. Get that trash out of here. What? I don't even.
They are.
I can't think of an exclusive Game Boy game right now. Trip World. Get that Trip World out of here.
Oh yeah, Trip World. Love Trip World.
Trip World probably came out in Japan. It's probably not PAL exclusive. But is there like an asterisk? I bet there's an asterisk that's PAL exclusive. I'm saying PAL exclusive, even though it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it means nothing.
All right, We're doing US releases. I know we're doing the set of 677. I'm going to say licensing doesn't matter. And I don't know how you felt going into this episode. I think the licensed subset is the most desirable subset, it's the coolest subset. But no one thinks about Atari 2600, and they only want the Atari games because the third-party games weren't authorized. And no one siphons out the unlicensed Accolade games from Sega Genesis because for the most part, they're pretty common, so everyone just throws them in. And there are a few unlicensed Game Boy and one unlicensed Super Nintendo game, and a lot of times people do cut those out, but there's also a lot of people who just throw them in because there's like 5 unlicensed Game Boy games, so people are just like, if I'm getting 500, I might as well get like 505.
Yeah, if I'm spending $1 million, might as well spend $1,200,000 because those games don't matter. But I will challenge that a little bit. Also, with Sega specifically, a lot of people don't even know what the unlicensed games are. Yes. They only think a few of the games are unlicensed. They're not aware of like the lawsuit history, what happened with Accolade, like all this wide margin of games that were unlicensed, the grouping of those that then thusly became licensed afterwards. So on Nintendo, it's pretty cut and dry. There's licensed, and then there is unlicensed, and it's really easy to tell which is which. On Genesis, I think that's a lot harder.
Yeah, and it's because Genesis cases weren't as standardized, I think.
Well,
like,
yeah,
if every single licensed Sega game came in a red case, then I bet more people would collect the license set.
Yes. I think that's true. I mean, I don't know if that's something we've ever really talked about. I know we've talked about elements of that and been like, yeah, everyone just counts the Genesis stuff because it's cheap. But I mean, we say that, but I've always been like, there's a little bit more to it there. It's not just that. I think a lack of knowledge is there. But I also think once people realize that the unlicensed stuff there, Balloon World or whatever it is, or Defense Force, there's like, oh, that's like $11. Who cares? I'll just grab it anyways. I'm buying 700 games.
There's some expensive unlicensed games on Genesis, I'm sure.
I mean, the Bible games. The Bible games are expensive and also horrible. Yeah, if you didn't count them and didn't buy them, I wouldn't blame you. If you said, I've got the set, but I didn't count those dumb Bible games, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. They're unlicensed.
So the weird part with Genesis is that a lot of the Accolade games were originally released unlicensed, and that's the version you kind of see all over the place. And then a lot of them were re-released as licensed versions. So like I'm just like Winter Challenge, I think, is one where the unlicensed version is pretty common, but the actually licensed version is a much more uncommon box.
Video game, yeah, it's got the video game classic designation.
Yeah, it's released as like an almost budget release. And so if you're collecting the licensed set, I don't want to see you having the original Winter Challenge. I want to see you having the re-release.
Well, I think something like Bubsy was also just re-released with the sticker on it, right?
Bubsy has like a bunch of sticker variants with the Seal It Quality sticker, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, and some of them have the old box. Again, which makes it like impossible. So did all of those games actually become licensed? And what happened? Was there a sticker on the front? It's like Genesis is really... It's messy to know exactly which version you have. And like, also it's kind of like, there's no distinction aside from normally a sticker, aside from the video game classic versions. And most people just buy both versions. So it's like, what do you Like, what do you do? Should you care at
Hold
all?
the phone. Most people just buy both versions. I
Yeah,
mean,
when
yes, there are some crazy hardcore Genesis collectors. I feel like most people aren't like, man, what do I need in my video game collection? 2 copies of Winter Challenge for the Genesis.
I'm talking about the people who do the sets, anyways. Like, if you're already an insane person, you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm in. That's the point. Like, you're already so committed that these like extra 8 games, especially back when people were doing Genesis sets, like they weren't very expensive. Winter Challenge was hard to find and got a little bit pricey for a time, but people still stumbled upon it for good prices, so it just didn't matter.
All right, I'm looking forward to the comment we get from Daddy Mulk on this Sega Genesis conversation, because we definitely said something wrong. I don't know what we said wrong. We're going to find out.
We did something. He's going to be like, no, you got the ballistic stickers all wrong.
Yep. Dude, ballistic stickers, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, U.S. releases. Licensing does not matter. All right, 3 we're going to disagree on. I'm not going to say retail releases. I'm going to say obtainable by a consumer. Because...
What does that mean? Tell me what
So this is more of a... I want to be able to make my criteria as generic as possible to multiple sets, and I realize I basically have to define criteria differently for each set because there's all these different weird caveats as you get into different forms of physical media. So when you think of Nintendo 64, Blockbuster exclusives are not retail releases. Like Sculptor's Cut is not a retail release, but everyone knows it's part of the N64 set. It's a game that exists on N64. And then, I talked about...
That's a little blurry because some of those games you could get in Canada at retail.
Okay. See, that's like another weird caveat. What if you couldn't? What if there is... So I don't know like the full history of Sega Genesis rental exclusives. Well, I'm assuming there are games that were literally only available at Blockbuster.
So, yeah. So, okay, like, let's cut that out. Like, no, I'm not from the show, but like, let's stop thinking about that for a second. But these were games that were actually sold. Like, they were bought, packaged, they went through the whole retail thing and just sold exclusively, but only to one consumer. One consuming entity. So they're still retail in a sense. They were just sold to a wholesaler, essentially, who did not distribute them for sale until later.
Okay. All right. Then my second example will be there are a bunch of Japanese games, especially on Famicom and Super Famicom, that were given away as promos and contest prizes that and some of them aren't like special versions of existing games. They're just things you did something weird to obtain them. And a lot of them, the thing is, this is the most important thing, a lot of them aren't super rare. Like, they have 5-digit print runs. They're like real games. They're not just like weird, like rare, crazy promo.
Power Strike 2?
Sure, yeah. And especially like Atari, I do not want to exclude things like mail order games because that's some of the most interesting stuff on Atari.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I can get behind some of this reasoning.
I'm trying to think. Basically, I want to rule out like prototypes, samples, and competition carts that were literally only supposed to be used for competition.
So no NWC, and then where does NWC Gold fall?
I mean, we're going to talk about that on the show.
Okay.
I think.
All right. That's one of your points. All right.
All right. Individual physical video games and standalone software. All right, this we might disagree. I think this is going to be maybe a point of contention. I want on my list, I want one of every video game. And I'm saying standalone software because there are a bunch of things that aren't technically games. You can call it one of each piece of entertainment software if you want. I would personally, I really don't care about things like Dreamcast web browser, but something like Taboo the Sixth Sense, it's like, obviously, I'm going to count Taboo the Sixth Sense because it looks like every other Nintendo game that's ever been released.
Okay. But it's not a game.
It is 100% not a game, but it is software intended for entertainment that stands alone.
So, you don't count the karaoke stuff on the Sega CD, but here you're like, yeah, Taboo counts.
The karaoke CDs on Sega CD are just CDs. They are not Sega CD
format. They are software for entertainment on the system.
Oh man, are you see? I am willing to have my opinion changed Oh, dude, but that's like a whole. That's not even like Sega CD releases. There's just like a line of those karaoke CDs that have like no Sega branding or anything. You can just get all of those karaoke
Animals,
CDs.
Compton CD. What about those? Those are specific to the system.
Oh, Compton's is 100% entertainment. Come on. Compton's is great.
I agree, but it's not a game, so
we can get into non-games when we get to them in the set. My main point is that personally, I don't want bundles or multi-carts, anything that has multiple games in one package, because I'm only trying to count each game once, and I do want to count all those bundles and multi-packs in a separate list of them. Just my personal preference, I want one vanilla list of games for my main list. And I also I'm clarifying standalone entertainment software because I don't want things like Game Genie, Action Replay, cartridge slot cleaner, things like that don't stand alone and do something on their own. Those are more
it is
accessories.
a piece of software for the system.
Yeah.
But because then you would need two variants because there's at least two different NES cleaner boxes. One has Mario on it. One of them is a Mario game, as a matter of fact. You have to have it.
What is that thing called? This is something cleaner. What is it called?
NES System Cleaner.
I don't think it's.
I think it's just NES Cleaner.
If you don't have the cleaner complete in box, I imagine it's not very expensive, and it's one of the coolest boxes on NES.
NES cleaning kit.
NES cleaning kit, yeah. It shows just all the scrambled characters of like if you'd like inserted a cartridge that's dirty or tilted, and then Mario's cleaning them up, and it turns into a good image. Really, really good box.
It's entertainment software, so you're entertained by it. So does it count?
It's not even software. But hold on, we're taking a break from talking about anything on the show to look at $35 complete in box. Buy it now, and it's got like the baggie and like the little things you stick in your cartridge to clean them.
But get the good version. Get the version with Mario on the cover.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's the one without versions. Mario. That's even cheaper. That's like $12. Forget that. Oh man, that one seems way more common. Oh no, get the one with Mario. Oh yeah, it's got like this little pink insert in it too. Oh man, $35. Everybody go out and get an NES cleaning kit. We're pumping it.
There's also a version that's just like in a clamshell, like a plastic clamshell. That's awful. Don't buy that one.
Yeah, don't get like that pink cartridge that everyone had for some reason.
Yeah.
What was that called? The Eliminator?
Yeah, do not buy that one. Get the one that looks like it comes in a Nintendo box. And when people used to sell lots of games, they would always put it in there and add to their count.
Really? Did people do that?
Yeah, they would be like, "Yeah, I got
an Eliminator. Have fun with it."
Yeah, just like or the cleaning kit. They just have it in their box, and it'd be like a lot of like 51 NES games, and you're like counting. You're like, "There's like 12 cleaning kits in here. These aren't games."
They knew. Anyone like not someone like selling video games, someone who just like goes to garage sales and resells their crap, and they found a box of 11 Nintendo games to clean a kit. They know when they're saying 12 Nintendo games. They're like, oh yeah, I just mistakenly.
Yeah, they're just pumping their numbers. We gotta pump those numbers.
All right, last criteria, Johnny. I'm gonna say this is gonna be not controversial. Released during the lifespan of the console.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the NES literally never ends. We'd have to go check what's on Kickstarter right now. I'm going to define that as the period. I still don't have a good definition. I'm going to say if something I consider a video game doesn't come out for 2 years, then the lifespan has officially ended. And that definition comes from the fucking Wii U because it struggled on for so long after its actual lifespan.
Well, the Wii went even harder and longer.
But the Wii had more consistent releases than even the Wii U because the Wii got Just Dance when Wii U didn't, which is the craziest thing I think to ever happen.
Limited Run is expanding the possibility of what could be on your console.
See, I don't think I'd want to extend this even further. Like,
no.
If there's another Wii U game at this point, like I would probably consider it aftermarket, and like I don't even know if I would count it anymore. Like I would count it on like a separate list of like here's all the weird aftermarket stuff because people make new games for everything. You can buy a new N64 game.
Well. Like, if that Castlevania, if it ever comes out for the TurboGrafx 16, right? Like, come on.
Wait, what?
The limited run.
I mean, yeah, obviously, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's like, okay, yes, it came out but it's like it's too far after. So I'm not. It's like, oh, Holy Diver when they redid that one for the NES. Like, I'm not going back and counting that. Though I think it's cool that they got to release it in the US. I'm still not counting it.
So that is an important point. So released during the lifespan of a console, because Holy Diver was developed during the lifespan of a console, but wasn't released. Another game was Escape from Atlantis, which was one of the worst games that has ever been made. I think is it Color Dreams or Wisdom Tree? It's probably Wisdom Tree because it was released by Pico Interactive. But that was released like legitimately by Pico Interactive in, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. But yeah, that's obviously not counting. Do you have any other criteria that you think we should use to constrain this list?
No, I think that's fine. Like, I have some weird stuff that I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm going to give you examples that I don't necessarily believe in. I
think we're both going to be doing some devil's advocating. We're going to.
Yes. Yeah. Some people hear me say things and they just like, I can't believe you believe this. I'm like, I'm just giving the other side. I don't believe, like, just because I bring something up doesn't mean that's like the thing I'm like 100% invested in. So please understand that. Anyways,
I'm invested in everything I say.
Okay. You're fully invested and, can't wait to tell you how wrong you are for putting Taboo on your list. Let's go.
All right. Where are we starting?
Oh, you're just going to tell me, so we know there's 677. Tell me what you added or deleted and what your number came to. Just give me a rundown.
I got no numbers. I just put a list of a bunch of controversial things I wanted to talk about. So
okay, that's super not useful.
Fine. I'll start the conversation, Johnny. All right, we're starting with the 677, and I'm adding in the quote unquote unlicensed list, which what people have like 90, 91, something like that.
A number that can never be verified and is awful and is full of its own list of caveats. You're going to throw that in there? All right, cool.
Yeah. All right, so the first thing I'm coming across is Dizzy the Adventurer, which is the only unique Aladdin game. It was the Aladdin pack-in. Now, okay. I think everybody knows, to explain on a technical level, the Aladdin Deck Enhancer essentially split an NES cartridge into two parts. It had like 75% of the PCB of an NES cartridge in the Aladdin Deck Enhancer. That's all the Aladdin Deck Enhancer is. It's not like a 32X that adds new hardware. It is just most of an NES cartridge. And then the actual program ROM was put into the Aladdin cartridges. So it was basically just a cost-saving measure. So you'd only have to buy essentially half of an NES game to buy the NES game. So cool. Dizzy the Adventurer is only available as one of these Aladdin cartridges.
All right, gotcha.
Does it count?
Not for me, because I'm not putting that unlicensed trash on my list.
Oh, you're I thought we agreed on our constraints. So, all right, you're just
No, I said those are your constraints. My list never has unlicensed stuff.
It literally does. You have Tengen games at the bottom of your list.
My list never has. Shut up, Tyler. You're spoiling it.
Oh my God. All right, for the sake of argument, if we're assuming that my constraints are right, do you count Dizzy the Adventurer, or is it the only game in the Aladdin Deck Enhancer exclusive list?
I count it.
You see, yes, I definitely count it. It is definitely a Nintendo game that you play on NES. It was just distributed in a strange way. The hardware used to distribute it is strange, but I'm not going to call it, it's not like a 32X game. But because I counted, it makes me question whether 32X is actually part of the Sega Genesis set. You saying that, I'd never considered that in my entire life. And you like saying that kind of stuff like really bothers me. It's like, maybe this should all be one
I got a lot of messages when I brought that up. People were unhappy when I just said the Sega CD. And never I'm like, your Genesis sets aren't complete. Like, you don't have, they were just like very unhappy with me. They were like, how dare you? And I was just like, well, tell me why it's not a Genesis game. And they were just like, what? Yeah.
I mean, yes. How dare you? I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Second thing I'm coming across, Maxi 15, because it is a multi-cart of 14 existing unlicensed games on NES. Man, Maxi 15 seriously was a hell of a deal. But Stack
And it came
M,
in an awful box, like that silver, terrible, like tray. Like, terrible.
yeah, it comes in like a weird clamshell thing. I don't know what's going on with it.
It's not a clam. It's like lift off top. It's like your mom's like jewelry box. It's gross. It's a tin. It's like a cookie tin. That's what it's like. It's like it comes in a tin.
All right. Sorry, Johnny. I've never opened mine. Mine's sealed.
Oh, look at me. Look at me. All I have is investments.
I'm pretty sure I wanted it, and like it was rare back when I wanted it, and like it was basically just as easy to find it sealed as a loose cartridge, because I was definitely collecting loose whenever I bought this. Anyway, there's an exclusive game called Stack M. So it has 14 existing games, then one exclusive game. So does Maxi 15 count for being mostly a multi-pack with one exclusive game? I'm definitely counting it.
I know you're counting it, and like Maxi 15 is like a little bit different. Okay. Because part of, like, and I'll add this, and I should have said it before. Part of my constraint for any unlicensed stuff that I want to put on my list is, did it exist in my childhood? And I know that's like a very narrow item, but I mean that in a broader sense. Like, did I go around to friends' houses? Did I see this stuff? Or was this like weird back room, like, you know, the back of a magazine, a comic book or something ad for some shit that never wound up anywhere? So that's why when we get to it, Tengen will be on my list, or Tengen, because people own Tengen games. That was part of my NES experience. It's part of the nostalgia experience. Whereas Maxi 15 doesn't make it. But Aladdin stuff, like I did see a few Aladdin deck enhancers.
Was Aladdin deck enhancer even ever released?
Or I mean Dizzy. Like, did you never see any Dizzies?
I mean,
was I only seeing it?
There are Dizzy games that aren't Aladdin deck enhancer.
Oh, that's true.
Or is it just one? It might just be one.
No, I think there's 2 Dizzy games at least.
There's 2, but one's an Aladdin deck enhancer, the pack-in.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get shit. People are gonna give you shit here for not knowing your Dizzy lore. Oh man, there's no Dizzy game on your list. Why am I even going to your list to check how many Dizzy games there are?
No, there's none.
Fantastic Dizzy, is that the only one? Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, John, I don't your takes.
Maybe I'm just thinking because it was always on Genesis. Which is also weird when it was like licensed on Genesis, but never like unlicensed on Nintendo.
There are Dizzy games on Sega Genesis?
Game Gear.
Okay, yeah. That's a cool cartridge. I'm in. Hold on, there are Dizzy games on Mega Drive. Why don't do I have them? Fantastic Dizzy came out in Mega Drive. Did that come out in America? Johnny, I don't want to get too far off topic.
We're
right.
way out. We're out in the weeds.
Everyone understands that you just include like half of the unlicensed list for no reason. We understand your crazy person list that no one is going to use.
No one's going to use. I think people, including Tengen, makes a lot more sense than people trying to advocate for Maxi 15, which sounds like a different product.
Shut up. All right. I'm just going to run through the rest of my my caveats here with the unlicensed list, and so we don't have to go back into how you don't count any of them.
Because all games matter.
Yes, 100%.
No.
Impossible Mission 2, for whatever reason, Mike Etler and thus Nintendo Age, and thus all these stupid apps include both the AVE and SEI versions of Impossible Mission 2. There are 3 major variants of Impossible Mission 2, I think. One is published by AVE.
Are you including both of them?
No!
Oh, I was like, are you an insane person?
No! Impossible Mission 2 is one game. I have played a bunch of both my AVE and SEI cartridge just to make sure there are like no differences or anything. It is the exact same ROM.
So in your opinion, if it's the same ROM, it should only count once, right?
I mean, I'm only counting each game once, so even if it's not the same ROM, I'm probably only counting it if it's substantially the same game.
I just want to make sure we have this point timestamped. So
I can't wait until you try to gotcha me with it.
All
right, unlicensed and licensed versions of the same game. Because I am including everything in one list, RBI Baseball, Gauntlet, and Pac-Man. I am only having one entry for each. And then under each, so...
And Miss Pac-Man 2, right?
What's up?
Miss Pac-Man 2.
Oh, yeah, Miss Pac-Man, that has a... what is it? That's Tengen and then a Namco release?
Yep.
Okay.
And there's Tetris,
Wait.
RBI.
Is it?
There's definitely Miss Pac. There's a Miss Pac-Man on both.
Is there, or did Tengen and Namco release two different licensed versions of Miss Pac-Man? Shouldn't we know the things we're talking about? There's a lot of NES games. I gotta keep. Okay, no, there is a Tengen Miss Pac-Man, and then there's a licensed Miss Pac-Man.
Are they different? Or are they the same?
Yeah, I'm including one on my main list, and then if you click into Miss Pac-Man, there will be two variants. There'll be a Tengen variant, and there will be
Okay, same with Tetris. Same with RBI Baseball.
No, Tetris. Whoa, what are you talking about? Whoa, you're bringing in Tetris into this conversation.
Well, I asked if it mattered if they were the same game, and you're like, no, you clicked into it.
Tetris is not the same game. I think that NES
so Miss
Tetris
Pac-Man
and Tengen Tetris
so
are
when
substantially different.
So if I asked if Miss Pac-Man was the same, you're like, no, it doesn't matter. You'll click into it and it'll list both of them. But with Tetris, you're like, whoa, they're different games.
Are Miss Pac-Man is the Tengen and the Namco port? That's the same port. Is it the same port? I don't know.
I thought it was, but we could be 100% wrong on that. That's why I was asking you.
See, it is so rare for the same game to be ported to a console twice under the same name. So I'm assuming this is the same port. But for sake of argument, if those were different ports of Miss Pac-Man, it would break my brain. That would be the first time I think I'd ever have to consider if it counts, if it's the same game ported twice for some reason, and there's two different versions of it. Which I guess is the case with Tetris. And with Tetris, I'm definitely counting Tengen Tetris and Nintendo Tetris separately. Because, I mean, even though they are quote-unquote the same game, the way Tetris is played, especially you look at like high-level Nintendo Tetris play, that exact skill set, I don't think directly translates to Tengen Tetris because people have such specific techniques that apply to NES Tetris. Also, fuck, we've got like Tetris masters who listen to this show. I shouldn't be talking shit about the transferability of NES Tetris high-level skill. I'm sure they're going to say, no, it's 100% transferable. Tengen Tetris, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. See, I'm unclear, and I don't know enough about Tetris or the differences therein to determine whether one should be included or both. And I was hoping you were going to give me a better answer than what I have.
I mean, like the blocks look different, and
Is it the same game, Tyler? Are you doing the same thing?
The rules are the same.
Is it the same
I am
game?
not enough of a Tetris master.
It doesn't matter about the sprites.
I know it cannot feel the same. Like, it's like you look at Ninja Gaiden on the Atari Lynx, or Ninja Gaiden 3 on the Atari Lynx versus NES, and you're like, yeah, these are clearly the exact same game, but man, the Atari Lynx version is just, a little bit, all the way around. Oh. And I bet people feel that way about Tengen Tetris, who are like used to playing NES Tetris for hours and hours and hours.
So let's just talk about something like MSX. Let's talk about Castlevania there versus Castlevania on the NES.
Why?
Is that the same game?
Once you cross platforms, like, then it becomes so weird. Yes, they are the same game.
Even though there's no side scrolling and they had to do this funky thing to make.
Oh, is it like a weird flip screen thing? But is it fundamentally the same, like the same level? Oh, God damn.
Yeah.
Why are we coming up with hypotheticals that aren't even this? Like, I always, if it's on different platforms, I always make different lists.
I'm challenging your thinking so we're clear, like what we're defining. Like that's what I do. Like I said, it's not the stuff I necessarily believe. I just like to find out where your head is at. You got a lot of good opinions, and I like to hear how you reason things out.
There is no, like, I think RBI Baseball and Gauntlet are definitely the same thing, licensed and unlicensed. And then the Pac-Mans are probably the same thing. But man, Tetris, I've never even considered combining the two Tetris games into one game. And I feel like if you did that, like, if you tried to make a case for your list, like all right, guys, I fixed the NES list. Here it is. And you combined Tetris and Tengen Tetris into a single game, people would immediately dismiss the list based on that alone.
Spoiler alert, that's exactly what I did on one version.
Oh, one version of your final list?
Yeah.
Okay. Man. All right.
Okay, all right. So there's also Indiana Jones Temple of Doom.
I'm not moving on to license stuff yet. But I mean, yes.
No, but there's a Tengen one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I missed a bunch of the double ones. Yeah.
So there's the double ones are Gauntlet, Indiana Jones, Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, RBI Baseball, and maybe Tetris.
Not Tetris.
The individual Tengen
so
games.
It's so funny that like there's one that we're just like, no, people are too serious about this game for these two different versions of Tetris.
I mean, you're a coward. Do it.
I'm a very true. If you combine Tengen Tetris and Nintendo Tetris into one game on your list, I commend your bravery. That is
all right,
because I do think it's a subjective call. All right, Johnny, Sunday Funday and Menace Beach, 100% same game to me. And it goes down to so if you don't know, Menace Beach is a shitty game where you're skateboarding. It's a platformer. Color Dreams probably. I don't remember. But then Sunday Funday is the religious version of it where they changed the story into you skating to Sunday school or skateboarding to Sunday school.
So they changed the story and narratives aren't important to you. Only mechanics are important to you.
Not 100% true, but I do think there's substantially the same exact game. And so I even think this is another one where the
Miss
emotional...
Pac-Man and Pac-Man are the same game.
They're not. They have different mechanics. Miss Pac-Man is a more complex game than Pac-Man. Pac-Man is all patterns.
Oh, but I mean, it's just the same sprites, right? Doing the same thing. What really changes?
Chase you in different ways. It's a different mechanics.
Oh, the ghost. So, but you're just a Pac-Man or a Pac-Man with a bow being chased by ghosts and eating dots. Though it's the same thing, right?
So all the Call of Duties are the same. You're just a guy with a name like Soap, and you shoot people.
Yeah. But I mean, these are 100% like pretty close to the same game, right? Like they just really
Sunday
put a bow
Funday
on her.
is in fact Menace Beach. The interesting thing, again, going back to like emotional responses and things, in Menace Beach, at the end of each level, you see like your girlfriend that you're going to rescue, and at the end of each level, her clothes deteriorate a little bit more, so she like basically gets down into her underwear as you get through the game. And I don't remember what they do about that in Sunday Funday. I think they just take that out, but like that is a significant difference to like an 11-year-old boy playing through Menace Beach for Sunday Funday, where they would be like, these are not the same game. Give me Menace Beach. Fuck Probotector. Give me Contra. But yeah, they're the same game.
Okay. I mean, you just argued with yourself there.
Yeah. I just, I didn't need you to bring up again how dumb I am.
I don't think you're dumb at all, Tyler. I think you're very smart.
I'm the best. I know.
That's
why I love talking about myself, Johnny.
I know. Where's your ego? Let me rub it some more.
I've got an easy one for you. All right, this one's a softball. Myriad 6-in-1.
Nope.
Absolutely does not count. So it is 100% a publisher variant. So if there's somehow a single person listening to this who does not know, Caltron 6-in-1 was original, like back in the day, a rare and respected Nintendo game. And they had unsold stock. I don't know the exact story. I'm just gonna make it up. They had unsold stock of their game 6-in-1 that they sold to Myriad, and Myriad slapped a sticker on the front of the cartridge and distributed the game in a different box. So it is the exact same PCB, the exact same cartridge with a different sticker and different packaging. So 100% a publisher variant, but same ROM, and I'm not going to count it as a different game. Still one of the coolest things in NES because it is so rare. And like maybe even now, like I understand that rarity is not as cool as Mario right now in the high end, but like Mario 6-in-1 a little underappreciated. I still think it's pretty fucking cool, Johnny.
Nah.
Doesn't count. Fuck it.
Doesn't count. Also, video game collectors love stickers. Just stop it.
Yeah, dude, stickers are pretty
Stop
good.
it with that. Guys, guys, everything changed. We put a sticker on it. It's not the same anymore. Or they didn't put a sticker on it, so now it can't be the same.
All right.
God, video game collectors are the worst.
Yeah, I'm thinking back in the past month, and like, yeah, I've definitely done some serious digging based on stickers, cartridge labels, but that's just a big sticker. So yes, I'm very much into stickers, Johnny. Your stamps are basically just stickers themselves.
People love stickers. I mean, back in the 80s, stickers collecting was a thing unto itself. Like, my sister had a big book, like a photo album essentially, full of puffy stickers, some of which you could scratch and also sniff. Yeah, this was a thing. I don't understand it. People love collecting stickers. Yeah, man. Cool. Even my wife's like, I mean,
get a lot of them.
Yeah, it's great. It's a favorite pack-in of every specialty boutique game maker. They're like, let's give those guys a sticker. They'll love it and call it a special edition.
What are people doing with those stickers? They're just keeping them. Give me a trading card.
You're struggling to keep them in the box and hoping they don't peel.
Fuck
You're just like, oh my God, never peel the corner. It dinged itself.
Like, a coin is stupid. I don't want a coin rattling around a box. Give me a trading card. It's a piece of cardboard. You put it in a case. Everyone has like top loaders and different protectors for them if they want to keep them nice. It's the perfect throwaway, doesn't cost anything to produce collectible. Fucking Fighting Masters on Sega Genesis, it comes with like 15 trading cards for no reason. It's excellent.
Yep. Look, I don't get it. There's so many things you could put in there. Why?
All right. I actually I thought I had two more things to talk about in this section. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Two more things. Let's go with Cheetah Men 2, Johnny. I don't even know.
Nope. No, get out of here, Cheetah Men 2.
Cheetah Men 2. What is the story? So Cheetah Men 2 wasn't released.
Found it in a warehouse, but
and Mike Etler, the man constantly around the history of NES collecting, bought a warehouse find of 1,500 copies of Cheetah Men 2 and sold them himself. So it didn't really have retail distribution. It was obtainable, but it wasn't released. It was basically just like taken from a warehouse and distributed. But does that make it any different than if it was sold directly to a store?
Depends how you view it. And this is why I like my things to be fully like committed to a retail release, because you get all these weird cases where you find this stuff. I mean, we get into this with GBA all the time, but like you find this box or this cartridge and you're like, I've got a box and a cartridge and there seems to only be one that anyone has ever seen. What could this be? And like lots of things get canceled and never published, even though they're 100% packaged and done. And for whatever reason a company can come up with, they decide, we're not going to do this. Think about, what was it, 2K11 or something that they did that with? NBA 2K11, was that 11? Yeah. So that they got rid of, but it was fully made and some got out. And so people are like, let's count it. Like, so this is where it gets crazy. Like, it is a game. It is something you can collect. But if we're talking about, that's why I always like keep it to, like, was this game actually sold through official channels is how I kind of like to think about it. And like, was it not a promo item? So I put that caveat on because, Star Fox Weekend is a promo item in my mind. I think it's cool. Like 100% go buy it. It's awesome, but I don't think it should count on your list. This is how I delineate things. And I've been very consistent on that since you've met me, Tyler. You know that I'm always like, nope, it has to have been sold through an official channel and not a promotional item.
Cheetah Men 2 is not a promotional item. I mean, official
channel
I'm not saying
is Cheetah,
pretty...
But it has no official channel of distribution. It got made and then never released. And that's like what happens. Sometimes games will get made. They'll get up. There can be a couple hundred of them, but or 10 for promotional material or review material, but they were never physically sold in a manner through official channels. So no, it doesn't count. It's just a thing. Like, and of course, everyone who bought in when it was early and was told, oh, it's limited, it's 1,500. Of course, all those people have a vested interest in being like, no, this thing counts. It's a thing. And I'm not saying it's not cool and don't go buy it or it isn't interesting, but how is that more real than the other Cheetah Men 2, like when they did the remake of it? Like that, it gets very strange to me when people want to bring this in. It does, like, it was never physically sold. Get out of here with that. It was only it was physically sold, but not by an official channel. It was just warehouse junk. Think about the Batgirl movie that was just scrapped. Companies can go through a whole big rigmarole, get a product ready to distribute, and then be like, no, now it's just an undistributed item. And these were just found, but never distributed.
I'll eat my hat if that movie's not on HBO by the end of 2023.
Okay.
Anyway, I think the whole debate on whether Cheetah Men 2 is even like a thing because it is such a strange thing is the reason it is obviously so desirable and collectible. I think it's, Cheetah Men...
It's also terrible.
Being terrible is kind of a bonus. Like, being uniquely bad in how bad Cheetah Men 2 is kind of adding to it.
I hate these stories of games. That's why I hate the stadium event story. Like, your condition in the world does not make you automatically an interesting game. It's just like, oh, you were so bad that people didn't want to deal with you, or like you got bought, so we did something else. Get out of here. That does not, like, people are like, oh, that makes it interesting and rare. And that does not make it interesting to me. That makes it like super forgettable. It means that it wasn't interesting enough to stand on its own, so they just put it in the ground.
So I think there's something to so bad it's good, because stadium events is just kind of boring. Like, World Class Track Meet is like, it's the stupid game where you run on a power
game.
pad. Shut up. But like Cheetah Men 2 is fucking horrible in a way that like even bad NES games are not as bad as Cheetah Men 2. And then even on top of that, like the main music theme is like super catchy. There's a lot going for Cheetah Men 2, I think.
I mean, also, it wasn't like part of my problem too with like unlicensed stuff is Nintendo looked at this and they did not want this, and there was a certain quality and a respect that needed to be upheld when making a Nintendo game. It had to be upheld to a certain point, and not to say that there aren't a ton of garbage NES games, because there are. But, you know, there was a build quality and everything that was inherent to it, and that was largely because Nintendo was such strict bastards about it. But yeah, I just, when you get into unlicensed stuff, a lot of that gets lost, and I don't like it. Not interested.
I know, I'm very aware you're not interested. Anyway, I think I'm saved here. There are disputed numbers. I mean, I certainly wasn't around video game collecting for this. So NESworld.com says around 1997, Mike Etler of Video Game Connections found the warehouse and sold them directly to collectors. So also, side note, like Cheetah Men 2 is worth some amount of thousands of dollars. I understand we're kind of in a dip in terms of the high end. I'm going to, like, Cheetah Men, like maybe a $5,000 complete box game, $7,000 complete box game. I don't know. Which is crazy considering there were 1,500 copies sold directly into the stream of Nintendo collectors. So, like, it's not like stadium events, which was, like, lost and filtered out into history. This was sold into the market. Exactly the exact people who'd want the game 20 years ago, and it's still thousands of dollars now.
Yeah, but it's also outside of the lifespan of the console, dude.
Yes, that's the thing. So the last NES game in America was Wario's Woods, which was late 1994. So by my own standards, 1997 does not make the cut. So I am saved from having to determine if Cheetah Men 2 is part of the set. I'm just going to say, sorry, Cheetah Men 2, your super collectible and interesting do not count.
Get the F out, Cheetah Men 2. But what about Cheetah Men 1?
Cheetah Men 100% counts. Action 52, classic of the NES library. Honestly, so I don't really look at heritage auctions a lot anymore. Just, I mean, the prices are nuts, and I'm not usually looking for like sealed graded stuff. But the games that comes around a little bit is like Action 52, and I'm less like looking at it because I don't even have a box for my Action 52, and I would like a complete in box Action 52 because that game is awesome. It's so horrible.
Yeah, it doesn't count on my list.
I mean, I think they go for like $2,000, so I'm still not buying them. But like, what? Yeah, shut up! I can't believe you don't count Action 52.
Trash.
Absolute gem of a horrible game. Now I'm sure you count the Satchel games.
I could probably be convinced to Action 52 because maybe that was around when people were kids and like that was part of their life. But I never saw one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm too young for it, but like, was Action 52 advertised in like comic books? Sounds like it counts. I don't know.
Just because you were advertised in a comic book doesn't mean you count.
That makes it real. You just had to mail order it. Maybe all your friends were mail ordering it. They're rich friends who had like $200 to buy a game.
Yeah, just like every Atari game that randos made in their garage, and we're like, I'm an official distributor now. Send me a check.
Johnny, does it count Satchin games?
No.
You probably have no opinion on this, right?
No, I have a strong opinion on this. You can't even verify that they were meant to be released in this country. Get out of here.
Okay, wait a minute. There are, I don't know if this is true of the NES games, but there are Satchin games that are released in Chinese and in English, meaning there was an intent to distribute them to an English-speaking audience.
Yeah, but the English-speaking audience is a large audience. Like, why are so many games distributed with English, even back in the 80s, in not America?
I feel like a lot of people speak English.
Yeah. Oh, weird. Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to make a judgment call that literally everyone has already made.
Okay.
I know there is some stores somewhere that did import and distribute Satchin games during the lifespan of the NES. Anecdotally, guy who comes up on the show all the time now, Joe, he says he saw them for sale on Canal Street in New York City, which is Chinatown. He doesn't know which games he saw for sale.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know how many... I got a copy of Star Wars from there back in the early 80s. Yeah, was it an official thing? No, it surely was not.
But, I mean, this would have been the official thing. This is the real thing. It's a cheap thing. It is not like you're not getting Super Mario Brothers 3.
And that Rolex you got was totally real as well. Why not count it? It says Rolex.
Oh my god. This, you know what? You are dismissing Taiwanese developers as just their work doesn't count because it's somewhat low quality.
I'm not. You can go count it as an unlicensed game that I don't count. Like, I don't care about these games. No one cares about these games, these trash games that were just like tiny, like shitty development houses trying to do to capitalize on the success of Nintendo and grab some money without going through official channels. Get out of here. That's theft. That's theft. Get out.
Anyway, I'm sure you can't show me an ad or a trade-in list of all the Satchin games that were ever sold here. The thing, also, not every Satchin game was sold here. So even if you say, like, oh, it was imported, I saw them on Canal Street, you didn't see Huge Insect, because Huge Insect wasn't imported till NES God brought it over in the 2000s. And, like, Papillon Gals, which is a kind of a variant of Galactic Crusader with porn in it, that is so rare that, like, there's only a few copies known to exist. So I'm almost positive no one will ever find evidence that that was actually sold. So, like, are you going to be crazy and, like, add to... Say, like, someone combs through, like, the FBI archives comb through every pictures of, like, old retail things. I don't know what surveillance the NSA has. But say, like, you can find, like, 30 Satchin games for sale out of the around 70 that exist. Do you all of a sudden put those 30 games that we can actually confirm were sold in the US at some point on your list and then just don't put the other 40 games on the list? The thing is, like, obviously everyone already agrees with this, but Satchin games just make so much more sense to take out of the list and put as their own thing, which is also the case because no one even wants to collect them because they're rare and weird.
Also, so I know I'm very hard on unlicensed games. There is also, I have this other argument that I like to, if you like Nintendo games and you just want to get everything that was ever put in a Nintendo cartridge because you go hard at the NES, then by all means, you should you should seek this stuff out and find it and put it on your list because you think it's neat. I personally, like, when I think about what Nintendo is for me, and you should always collect for yourself, it doesn't make my list. But you, if you are this, like, the hardcore NES guy, Yeah, you should look into all of this stuff, and then if you count it, great. Like, because you just want to get everything that came on a Nintendo cartridge, including stuff that's new. Like, yeah, go for it. Please enjoy. But when I'm writing my list of the games that were like actual Nintendo games that, I'm speaking to a broader audience that think about what their childhood was and how it involved Nintendo. I'm writing the list with that in mind.
I was going to say that Sachin prices are out of control, Johnny. The last Sachin game that sold on eBay sold in Finland for $7.28. $51 shipping, and it's not in great shape, but it is complete. And it's a 72-pin NES game, Dancing Blocks. Man. And that's kind of it. And then there's no other, there's like 4 Sachin games from this one seller in eBay sold, and then nothing. And then all the ones on eBay, the minimum price is $300 for Poker 3. And then all the other ones are like $500 to $1,500. And
it's probably all from Dane's collection.
Absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it's probably all the games that just came out, and Go Collect Jeff is probably just trying to dump them because it's like, oh man.
Did Dane have all the Sachin games?
I don't know. I'm making jokes. I'm just being
great jokes. All right, Johnny, do you want to take over? And so those are some unlicensed things that I would count. So
you've got 91 unlicensed games to your list, right?
I mean, I didn't even bring up the full list, but sure, something like I don't think. Yes, let's say 91. I don't know. I think 91 includes Cheetah Men. So sure, yes. Okay. But then we cut that along with some other stuff.
Okay, so we cut out at least 2 things, so taking you down to 89, and then did that counts every Tengen game, right? So you need to extract 1, 2,
What are you
3,
talking?
4,
We just
5.
discussed all the things we cut because we cut Myriad. I cut Sunday Fun Day.
I know. I'm trying. You said there's the list of 91 unlicensed games, so I'm trying to then like import out the things we cut because it's not, the number isn't 91, right? Because there's a couple of the Tengen games.
No one cares about the actual number. They care about the discussion of what's included.
No, they do care. You are 100% wrong.
Oh my
people want to hear a number. People want to hear a number. Back me up, people. I know you want to hear a number. So anyways, you got 80, I think 87 when we made the cuts, plus the Tengen games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm not going to give you Tetris at 6. So you got, let's see, 84 unlicensed games coming in thereabouts. So you're at about 770 to 772, depending.
I mean, the thing is,
that's your list.
I don't have a list of licensed and unlicensed games. I have a list of US NES games because that's why I'm cutting games like RBI Baseball, because there's just one entry for RBI Baseball.
Yeah, and I understand that. So that's why your list is down. Let's see. I'll put 94. Hold on. I meant 84. So I'm sorry. Your list is around 760 to 762. That's the range. When you include everything, if you are making a list of NES games to buy, that is the number. And you were saying these all officially count in some capacity. Not that they're licensed, but in your heart, your number is 761.
I mean, we didn't go through all the other games yet.
Okay. Well, what else are you taking out? So right now we're at 761. What else are you going?
I mean,
what else comes out?
Do you want to take over MC roles of what games we're considering next?
No, because I'm having the discussion with you. I'm okay continuing.
Nintendo World Championships Gold. Let's go. Or just Nintendo World Championships. So
which one? Both?
All right. Nintendo World Championships Gray.
Promo cart doesn't count. Can't
absolute
count.
Bullshit. It's a competition cart. They were not distributed.
Does not
You
count.
did not get one for being a finalist. People stole them is how they are out there, which absolutely fucking, I know, like, goddamn, in these high-end groups, everyone has an NWC. There are so many NWC Grays. It is like the cool thing to have. You never see anyone with a fucking NWC Gold. You see like the high-end super rich people and Nick Morgan, and they have their NWC Gold, and Pat the NES Punk. I think the NWC Gray is still cooler, even though, like, man, you see them all the time now. But NWC Gold, I'm saying it counts. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. Joe convinced me of this in a conversation like last month. Yes, you could win them from the Nintendo Power Contest, and technically, they weren't even used. I mean, they could have been used, but we don't know that for sure. So I'm just going to say Nintendo World Championships Gold counts. Distributed by fucking Nintendo.
Promotional item. Promotional item.
How is it a promotional item? It's a game.
It was a promotion for the show.
It was
a promotion.
You're right.
Yeah, they were it was created for what they. It didn't go through a retail verification. Does not count. In your list, it counts. All right, we got 762. I mean, I agree. I agree that there's at least a conversation around it, but I put in close. Now, it's the case isn't exactly the same with like Star Fox Weekend because those games were played, but there was so many of them that were sold and distributed. Like, you know.
Joe also convinced me, like, if I'm counting games like Sculptor's Cut, then I should be counting Donkey Kong Competition Cart and Star Fox Super Weekend.
They are not in the same world, and Joe, go to hell.
No.
Absolutely not.
If people bought Sculptor's Cut used, then people bought Donkey Kong Competition used, it's the same thing.
Listen, I'm tired of repeating myself here. I'm trying to teach you a thing. It did not go through any sort of retail verification. It didn't do it. Did not happen. They just made Star Fox Weekend. They didn't create all the components. They didn't go through ESRB. Sculptor's Cut went through that whole thing and was sold and packaged by Nintendo. That is not what happened with the competition carts for Star Fox and Donkey Kong. Did not happen. Are not the same.
So this is the thing. I'm, by my own standards, or by the criteria that I defined, it is hard for me to exclude Nintendo World Championships Gold without also cutting Famicom and Super Famicom games that I would definitely want to include in my list. So this comes down to the point where, like, maybe, like, objective criteria shouldn't be the way that you do this, because subjectively, like, immediately I would just want to toss Nintendo World Championships Gold. It's so dumb to have it on a set list when you're never going to own it, which I don't like the idea of just tossing out games because they're too expensive, but you know what? None of us are going to own Nintendo World Championships Gold, so why is it on our lists?
Yeah, cool placeholder with your grays, buddy.
Yeah, fuck grays. You're cool. Each gray. So there's also an argument, like, is each Nintendo World Championships gray unique, Johnny? Because they're all serial numbered. I mean, do we have to add another, like, 350 games?
No, because all games have a serial number of sorts on them.
Oh, yeah, all right. Just making a stupid point.
I'm like, if you want, like, every game has a different number on it in some capacity to identify, like, it has a production number.
When you make your list of variants, though, so there are games that are specifically serial numbered on the outside, like Nintendo World Championships, and I think Myriad 6 and 1 also has a serial number.
Cool.
You have to list each variant individually. And for games like Myriad, where, like, not all of the serial numbers have been found, because obviously a bunch of those boxes were thrown out, you can only list the variants that are still known to exist.
Great. Great.
Yeah, my list is great. Everybody should make lists the way I want to make them.
Yeah. I'm trying to simplify people's lives. We'll get into, like, all my weird criteria in a moment. But no, okay, you're at 672. You're trying to include the gold. I definitely don't agree with that. Obviously, I strongly disagree. Also, you should not be convinced by things Joe says. He's a madman.
Joe's nuts, out of his mind.
He should not, like, really. He's a crazy person. You shouldn't consult him. It's like listening to the wind and being like, I've made a decision. No,
I don't like having people on the show. I think we should get Joe on the show one of these days.
Oh my God. You love Joe so much, you just invited him to the show.
I think we might need to have him on the show. If he's interesting. I don't think I've ever talked to Joe in real life. Joe, you better be interesting enough to be on the show.
I've talked to Joe a lot, and we've never physically heard his voice. What if he sounds weird?
I don't know. We're just gonna cut all the parts where he talks. Maybe he was on this episode, and people will never know. I know that if there was gonna be an episode he wanted to be on, it would be him telling us how we're wrong about considering the NES list.
I like randomly dismissing him as well. And people are like, why are we still talking about somebody I don't know? He's the Fleo. He has a lot of knowledge about the NES. So me discounting him, and he's more of an expert than I am, is kind of hilarious. All right. Go on.
All right, let me get to a personal pet peeve of mine, because I hate them. I don't want them on my list. Multi-carts, Johnny.
Oh, but they're individuals.
Don't care.
They exist. They exist.
There are so many ways which games can be distributed, whether it's on a cartridge, whether it's on a disc, whether it's a different form of media, where you can include multiple games in one thing. Whether, like, You could include 2 cartridges in a case, which you see on consoles like Game Boy, or you could include 2 games on 1 cartridge.
Multi-packs,
Or you
get
could
out.
shrink wrap 2 entirely individually packaged video games together and sell it as a bundle. And that could be like an official thing with like maybe an outer cardboard sleeve. Or like Costco will just take 2 games, slap them together, and put shrink wrap around them. And is that a double pack now? Are we all going to put that on our list?
No, I have strong feelings about store ones versus ones that were done intentionally by Nintendo.
Oh my god, you and your official channels.
Yep. I mean, that's the only way to keep us from madness. Because if you
collecting is madness. What are we even talking about in this episode? This is crazy people stuff.
Yes, but it's what separates us from those who go out and eat dirt in the street, Tyler. Okay, it's a very fine line.
Anyway,
all right. So you're striking Super Spike Volleyball and World Cup Soccer gone.
Absolutely, yes.
3-in-1 Super Mario. Gone?
Yeah, Mario Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet gone.
Okay. DK Classics gone.
Absolutely. That may be the most controversial one because it's not called Donkey Kong / Donkey Kong Jr. It's called Donkey Kong Classics. But that's what it is.
It is the same ROMs.
Seem like its own thing. But
it's the same games. It's the exact same games.
The only reason you want Donkey Kong Classics on your list is 1, because it has the box format that you like, and 2, it's been drilled into your head that these 677 games, they're all the ones that count. Get it out of here.
So, and Super Mario Duck Hunt out.
Yep. And Sesame Street ABC 1, 2, 3.
What? Why? Oh, because that's a double pack too.
That's a double pack. Almost forgot about that one.
Oh, I did. Ooh, I have to add that to my list.
To be clear, we're not getting rid of. I'm not getting rid of like Quattro Sports or Caltron 6-in-1 because all those have unique games on them. Short Order Eggsplode is a Power Pad game that's technically 2 games. We're keeping that. It's not that I hate the concept of multi-carts. It's I hate the concept of multi-carts that only has games that were all distributed individually otherwise.
Okay, so I want to make sure I have all the multi-packs. We got Super Spike Volleyball and World Cup, the 3-in-1 Mario Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet, DK Classics, Super Mario Duck Hunt, and then Sesame Street. Is that it?
Yes.
5?
I believe it's that.
5. All right, 5.
And to be clear, yes, like these games have exclusive menus. To me personally, that is not enough to count as a unique thing. An exclusive menu.
So does Short Order Explode? Is that 1 game or 2 games?
That is 1 game.
Even though it's 2 games?
Don't make me like go insane. But yes, Short Order Explode is 1 game. Because then what am I going to say? Like, is Super Mario 3, is that actually Super Mario Brothers 3? And then also like Mario Bros? Because there's the minigame that's just Mario Bros?
What about Back to the Future 2 and 3? 1 game or 2?
It's 1 game. Can you imagine someone splitting that kind of thing out?
No, I can't.
I just put all the Action 52 games on my list.
That's insanity. I'm making a joke.
I know, but like, what if there's a person who's like trying to like pad their numbers and be like, oh yeah, I like having a list of every individual game I could play.
I want to know every individual game that you can actually play on the Nintendo, so it's important that we don't. And like I can talk like that and almost make myself believe it, but it's really gross. Don't do it.
I went to Goodwill and I bought 800,000 Windows games in 1 CD, and man, my game collection has never looked better.
Yeah. Oh, you own 600 games? That's cute. I have 800 right here.
I have 800,056 games, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, where do you keep them all? On this 1 disc. Ugh. Bet he's never going to play them all, stupid shelf collector.
All right. Johnny, let me get to another pet peeve bullshit video game of mine.
Okay,
World-class track meet.
I'm so ahead of you. I was like, world-class track meet. Here we go.
Fuck it. Oh my God. Get it off my list. Do not get stadium events off my list. Stadium events is the countiest game to ever count. It came first. It's the same game as world-class track meet. Get
Doesn't matter.
world-class track meet out of here. It doesn't even have a fucking box. It came with the Nintendo, which I will count games that are pack-ins exclusive.
Gyromite
I'm not, like,
came with the
throwing out
Nintendo.
pack-ins, but fucking it already exists in a box. Get it out of here.
All right.
All right.
I mean,
do you? I mean, I don't. Do you? Do you agree? Are you? I don't think you're someone who would get rid of stadium events.
Oh, yeah. No, stadium events, I don't care. You pick one.
No, don't pick one. I mean,
Pick one. It's the same game. By your logic, it's the same game. You just need to own
okay, you're right. You're
one
right.
of the
By my
games.
logic, it's the same game, so you can technically pick one.
Yes. We're not. You didn't say the list of, and they all have to be first prints that have to be
Yes,
the original. Because then they would
exactly.
all be Japanese games and it wouldn't matter.
Yes, world-class track meet is the same as getting a Player's Choice Super Mario Sunshine. You're the worst person in the world for buying it, but still counts on my list.
Still counts. Got it.
All
right.
All right, controversial one that no one, I mean, people bring it up, but it's not as hotly debated as like stadium events. Punch-Out, get off my list. Mike Tyson's
Whoa, you're
Punch-Out
taking out
exists.
Punch-Out? You're taking out Punch-Out?
Get it? It's called like NES Classic Series. It even says on the box basically
No.
like, I am a shitty re-release. I don't really count as a video game.
No. There's two versions of it. There's two boxes.
Yeah, what? There's two boxes of the Untouchables. It doesn't mean they're different games.
No, but it doesn't say, they both don't say classic.
Oh, it's the original. But wait, is there a the original Punch-Out? I didn't even know.
There's a Punch-Out with just a red band, and then there's the classic series Punch-Out.
I didn't know that. I thought they were all the original. Oh, look at this. The first one on eBay isn't the original. I should get one of those.
My God, man.
I thought it was just part of the stupid original set. I didn't know that.
Not originals, classic series. It's called classic series.
I'm looking at it right now. It says the original on the side.
Okay, yeah, it does. It does say it's got that like
All right,
weird
it's classic
diamond.
It's basically two things. You're right.
Yeah. Classic series is the more prominent.
Oh
thing.
my God. This one's complete garbage because not only is it the version of Punch-Out I don't want, it's like the budget shitty version of Punch-Out I don't want.
Oh my God, you did not know this?
No.
So does that change your mind?
This is how much I don't want to think about non-Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
So do you want to change your mind?
No, I still want to get rid of Punch-Out. It's the same game as Mike Tyson's
Ugh, ugh, blasphemer.
No, you should, if you are a huge fan of Punch-Out, you should support getting rid of the shitty version of Punch-Out.
Look, Mr. Dream is what carries the franchise forward. You can argue this is more important because this is part of the franchise. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, like Super Punch-Out, is not the sequel to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. It's the sequel to Punch-Out.
Are you just saying that the stupid ass the Punch-Out games are dumb? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying Punch-Out is great, and so is Super Punch-Out, even better, right? But I'm just saying, one is the lineal successor in a line of games, okay? And one is just an off one, like the weird exclusion, and that's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. It might be first, but it's not the one that carried the series. The series went forward as Punch-Out, not as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And actually, it was Punch-Out before Mike Tyson in the arcade, right? Because the arcade machine came first?
Yes, canonically it is Punch-Out, Super Punch-Out, Punch-Out, Super Punch-Out, then Punch-Out. There are 5 games.
So Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is the weird outlier. So the one that's actually technically more correct in the lineal series is Punch-Out, not Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
That is 100% true. But I am picking
So you want to throw out Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I got it.
No, I'm picking the first time a game was released each time. And it's not some first print fetishism. It's just, if it came out first as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, we're doing that, and everything else we're calling a re-release. I don't care that, I understand that Punch-Out is what it is called now, and it is still part of Nintendo history, and they re-release it with dumbass Mr. Dream, but that is not how, that's a subjective call, or like you have to...
I think you're sleeping on how good Mr. Dream is.
I don't care how good Mr. Dream is.
All right.
That's how does Mr. What? I'm not judging whether a game counts based on coolness here.
I mean, you just
Also,
called it trash.
one of the things that took me down, like wanting to be an NES list reformer, as if anyone fucking listens to me, but like wanting to fix my own list is. One day I was just on Wikipedia, this was like years ago, on Wikipedia, and I click a link for Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, and it takes you to it doesn't take you to the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out NES Wikipedia page. It takes you to the Punch-Out Wikipedia page, which is the combined article for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream. And really, it's not even called Punch-Out because the second game was called Punch-Out. It's called Punch-Out because now, as the game exists on like Nintendo Switch or something, it's just called Punch-Out. So they're using the most up-to-date title of the game, but there is only one Wikipedia article for all the versions of this same game. And I'm like, oh man, my lists have different versions of the same game. Why are my lists like this? And so really, Wikipedia editors, you can blame them for making me this crazy, probably.
Wikipedia editors they leave a lot to be desired.
Oh, yes, they do. You know what? I mean, since we're talking about lists, I do think that their game lists do continually improve. There are a lot of terrible Wikipedia articles. There are a lot of terrible Wikipedia lists, but I do think they're getting better. I was going to say maybe there would be a citation for some of these release dates for some of these Punch-Out games. Not a single one has a citation, and all of them have specific dates. Huh. Interesting. But
pretty good. All right. What else are you taking off? What else are you doing crazy?
This is going to be a pretty hot take. 1991 Campus Challenge. I'm not going to count it.
Oh, weird. Yeah, also not counting that.
All right. Non-games. Color a Dinosaur, Videomation, Taboo, The Sixth Sense, The Forgotten One, Tiny Toons, Cartoon Workshop, and Miracle Piano. I'm going to say we're counting all of those, unless you disagree, but I think you agree.
Those 5 you're going to count. Got it. So you're not removing them from the original nested 677.
Yeah, I'm just counting them. I don't care that they're not technically video games.
So, and in the original 677, I just want to be clear on Punch-Outs. They're both there, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They're definitely both there in that 677.
So your list, if you were doing the official list, just keeping to their number, you're just like, you're just suddenly down one game. You're like, by the way, boom, down, I'm down. So you're from 677, you would actually be down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 games you're down. 8 games.
What is that? Yeah. Get rid of them.
Do it.
Feels good.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It is 7. So yeah, you'd be down 7. So your list, easy number, 670.
Plus the unlicensed, which ones
plus
I do count.
Licensed 670, unlicensed you've got 84.
All right. But it's weird because all right, anyway. I think that's it for like the major changes that I would want to make. There's things that I would clarify, so I like putting in notes at the bottom of my list just to be like, hey, just in case you're not really familiar with the list, here's some things you might want to know. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was released twice, and they are different games. That is a super weird situation. It's not a publisher variant, just so you know. Obviously, both of those I'm counting.
2 different games?
What's up?
You said Temple of Doom?
Yeah. Oh, is it not Temple of Doom? I thought it's Temple of Doom.
I thought Temple of Doom is the same. It's Last Crusade, which is
Last Crusade. Games. You're right. I don't know my Indiana Jones history. What do I know?
I'm like, let's not get a message about just messing up Indiana Jones, please. Especially since in your list I removed the Tengen version or unlicensed version to your count.
All right.
All right.
I would make a note that like major label variants, like the classic series, like the yellow Metroid box, I'm not counting. I don't think people would expect me to count it, but It's a big thing you might see that doesn't count. I would definitely call out publisher variants. I'm not counting, and especially one I would call out is like Share Data Chiller, which like, I don't know, there's a few dozen of them that are known to exist out there. That's a chiller with a blue cartridge that was apparently published by Share Data. I don't know if people consider those prototypes or what. In my opinion, simply too many of them have been found for this to have been a prototype. Like, there's the AGCI Wally Bear and the No Gang, which I think there is one of. Which, sure, we can call that one a bullshit one-off thing, but there's like dozens, like not high dozens, but there are dozens of shared data.
I mean, if you see, that's the thing. Like when you talk about factory samples and stuff and how many can be made, I mean, there could be like 40 of them, but that's not a print run. Like a print run of games should be not hundreds or dozens. It should be thousands.
I don't think there's a limit. I mean, I think that the problem is that we just don't know.
I mean, we do know that there was minimum order quantities with Nintendo that you had to use, or you could not get a game distributed. These are unlicensed, so it becomes a little bit different. But even then, like a manufacturer isn't going to do a batch of just 12 games. If they do, they're spinning that up as like, okay, here's our samples. Let's distribute. Are these all right? Maybe they sell those too, but that's not. They weren't created for that purpose. They weren't like, here's a special 12 or 25 run of games. That's just not how big manufacturing does things.
I mean, the thing is, no matter how you slice it, it comes down to we're making assumptions that there weren't however many produced. Like, first of all, maybe they did sell 100 copies of Shared Data branded Chiller for some reason before they rebranded it.
Yeah, which could happen. That like could have been a change, or like there could have just been an asset change. Like, oh, we got bought in the middle of it. The factory changed or something in the middle. Like lots of weird things happen globally at factories.
Yeah, because you think about something like stadium events where like, yeah, the minimum order quantity for an NES game was 10,000. And it's like, so where are they? If there were 10,000 of them produced,
they were destroyed.
Like, all right. Oh, right. You say you have inside info that you can't give us, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. They were destroyed.
They were destroyed.
All right. Anyway, it's a publisher variant either way. I'm not counting it. And then, also there, so title changes, and specifically I'm calling out Family Fun Fitness Athletic World. It just drives me crazy when I see a list that includes both Family Fun Fitness Athletic World and Athletic World. So that's a label variant on Athletic World. The Family Fun Fitness one is the desirable one. Obviously, I'm not counting those as separate games.
No, that is the same game. It's the same as stadium events and World Class Track Meet.
Actually, you know what? Is it Athletic World? Maybe I'd call it Family Fun Fitness Athletic World if I was going to give it a name. See, is Family Fun Fitness part of the title, or is that just a series?
We may never know. Hold
on. Let me get onto the title screen of the game. Title screen says Family Fun Fitness Athletic World. So the title of this game is Family Fun Fitness Athletic World. If you have just the shitty Athletic World that does not include the full title of the game, I'm sorry. They retitled the game to something that made more sense.
Yep.
All right.
I have the bad version.
I don't know what I have. I'm sure I don't have the good version because I just don't care about Athletic World.
Why not?
I'm just not cool. That is like, Athletic World is such like a cool NES guy game to care about. Like if you got the big box Athletic World with the Family Fun Fitness pad, like, man, you are such a cool guy. And I'm just not a cool enough guy. We
got to do an episode, not anytime soon, but like things like an episode like strictly for the NES people, things that made you a baller in 2008. Like, that's how you knew you were like a cool collector. Like the cool collector items. Athletic World would be the Faria map, which no one gives a shit about anymore, but is still expensive. Like that kind of stuff. I want to have to me,
like the thing is, I had the perspective of like a 16-year-old just stumbling upon the scene into forums. So I would just soak up people's opinions, and like whatever someone else thought was cool, I would think was cool. Because like I wanted to fit in. I'm joining like a new social group of people. Yeah. So like I didn't form my own opinions at all back then. I just kind of went with whatever people thought. So I thought like Stack Up, and I brought this up on the show. Like Stack Up was fucking cool. If you had a Stack Up, you were such a baller. So one cool. Just sold. I'm sorry I bring up like Heritage Auctions bullshit so much. I believe it was a sticker sealed Stack Up. I mean, they're all sticker sealed, I think. Maybe not. But it was like a matte sticker sealed with the shrink wrap over it, sealed Stack Up, and it did not sell for like an amazing premium. So it sold for $10,200, which, yes, $10,000 for an NES game is ridiculous. but it's a match sticker sealed game that is traditionally one of the most exciting complete in box games on NES, and a pinball, not a it's like a regular hang tab pinball, sold for like over 20 grand, more than double fucking match sticker sealed Stack Up.
That's insane.
Stack Up, yeah, the cachet of Stack Up is gone. People do not care about Stack Up anymore.
We have to do that episode, like the cool items and is it still cool or not. That's the episode.
Okay. I'm down. I think we have to talk to some old heads because like I have like my own experience, but like we're obviously gonna need some.
We have some. Yeah. Like I think that's a fun episode to do. When we want to just do like a fun quickie, I think that'll be a good one. All right. Do you want me to get into my insanity now? Is that your numbers done?
Oh, I didn't even realize. What, you're doing something else? Yeah, do your
no,
insanity.
I have my caveated list. Like if you're an insane person, how you can like get this list down.
We're just making cuts now? All right, I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay, so your number came out to 670 licensed, 755 total. Okay, that's your total. 670. You got the license list down to 670. You chopped off 7 games. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you are collecting...
Wait, did we add in Nintendo World Championships Gold?
Yes.
Okay.
You've got a plus there. If you look at my column, I've got like this area over here. This is your adds and subtractions.
All right. I'm not looking at your spreadsheet at all. I want the listener experience to make sure they can follow along.
All right. Okay. So my list, if you want to, you just want games, right? I don't care about these things that aren't games. So, and I don't care about stuff that's unlicensed, kind of. I want stuff that is just part of the NES experience of my childhood, right? And in that childhood, I said, this was for Super Nintendo, I said, I want one of every game. But that was, like, I wish I had every game. So if you were a kid, like, every kid said that, right? I wish I had every game. So that's what you're thinking. I just want one of every game. And let's not get into, like, weird stuff like stadium events, world-class track meet. Who cares? Just get one of them, right? Like, you just want one of every game. You don't care how it comes. You're just trying to obtain them. This is the child brain version of it, okay? So that's what this list represents, and this is how my cuts go. And you just want the games. You don't care about software that is for entertainment. Get out of here, Taboo. Get out. Tiny Toons? No, thank you. Videomation? You're gone. Miracle Piano? What am I trying to go to school right now? Get out of here, Miracle Piano. I'm not here to learn. I'm here to kill things.
I mean, Miracle Piano is a game that you can fail in. You can fail the lessons, and it has a goal. If you beat all the lessons, you get a game over. I think Miracle Piano might count as a game.
School is a game. You can go, and there's lessons, and you can fail them, and sometimes it's entertainment. Yeah. And you have to use an ancillary item like a pencil as your joystick to complete.
I think Miracle Piano is arguably a rhythm game, though. I don't know. Like, we're not talking about a video game with school.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay, shut up, Tyler.
Yeah, cool. I'm doing. I told you this is child brain. Like, I'm doing a thing here. So, Color a Dinosaur. Also, Get Out. Get out, Color a Dinosaur. We don't care about you. Technically, these are like my most, I think, in the list, the most debatable, and I think you could add them back in. It's not a big list. It's 5 games. Take them or leave them. That cuts you down to 672, okay? You're at 672, you minus those 5 out. But what else are you doing? Well, there's a lot of games that are duplicated in the NES list, so we're going as streamlined as possible. I'm going to make your life easy. Well, we talked about it a little bit, but Donkey Kong Classics, right? That's got 2 games in one, Tyler.
Oh my God! Why would I go buy Donkey Kong?
Why would I buy Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. separately when I can get both in one streamlined package? Boom! Get out of here, you 2 games. So there's 2 more gone. All right.
Why are you doing this?
Because you hate it. This is the thanks I hate it segment for Tyler. I did this just for you. And this was the point of the whole episode. Something Tyler would just cringe. Stadium events is really expensive. Super expensive. And you want every game, and that is definitely an inhibitor. But guess what? World-class track meet exists. Better yet, though, do you know what else exists? a 3-in-1 cartridge, Tyler. You can get Super Mario, Duck Hunt, and World Class Track Meet. That means you get to kill stadium events, the individual World Class Track Meet cart, Super Mario, and Duck Hunt from your list. All gone. They're just gone,
And
Tyler.
you get to save the space because you don't even need a box now for your Super Mario Bros.
I know. And if you want a box, you can go buy one of those fake ones that everybody has. We all have them. Don't lie. All right. Boom.
I don't have. You don't need a fake one. There's a real box. It's the NES, the Power Pad set, whatever it came with.
Yeah. Super Spike Volleyball and World Cup Soccer. There's a 2-in-1 for that. Boom. 2 more games out. Get out of here. Man, life is getting easy. Sesame Street ABC 1, 2, 3. That's a duplicate. Get out of here. So we got to get rid of, and man, all the money we're saving by getting rid of Super Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong, those are black box games and stadium events. Oh, we saved so much money. Super Spike Volleyball, but we're talking about streamlining it as much, making it easy as possible. So that's gone. World Class Track Meet's gone. Sesame Street, man. So we get 2 more games out of that. We get rid of the 2 Sesame Streets. So good, Tyler. Okay. So we've got this super list. We're not worried about any of that other junk. So now we got down to 672, and then we got, let's see, how many here? We got 11 more that we get to strike from the list. Man, we got this number down to an easy 661.
Great.
661.
A list that no one will want to collect.
No. And this will be a list of every licensed Nintendo game. One of each game. The number is 661.
The worst possible way.
The Thanks I Hate It list is 661. Yeah.
Thanks.
Pretty good, right?
Super good. And
661.
we also got to remove... Does this include Miracle Piano?
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay, we're not even going to argue.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It removed Miracle Piano.
Why? It's a game.
If you added it back in, fine. 662, buddy. NWCs, right. You're out. Those don't count. Okay, but here's what you could do if you wanted to get crazy. If you wanted to add some stuff back in because you don't like 661, and here's this is something I'm going to defend both in my joke and but actual. And I've spoke about this. The Tengen games were out as a kid. I saw them. We all knew them. I'm removing the ones that are duplicated up, and there's 6 of them because I'm including Tetris in that. I only want one version of Tetris. So there are 13 Tengen games you can add on there. So you get your Afterburner, Alien Storm, Fantasy Zone, Clax, Pac-Mania, RBI Baseball, Roadrunner, Rolling Thunder, Skull and Crossbones, Shinobi, Super Sprint, Tubin, and Vindicators all get to go in. Like, we remove them because they are unlicensed, but really they are part of the childhood experience to me. So I would throw them back in my list. So I would add 13 back. And then I would also put the Bible games. And I don't know if this is just because I don't know if every town had this. Because obviously I didn't live in every town. But we had like a couple of religious stores in town that always had these stupid Nintendo games. And I would get duped because we'd be walking through this. There was this awesome strip mall that I grew up with, which had a movie theater, a comic shop. So like it went the comic book shop, a candy store, the movie theater, and then you went down like 5 stores, and then there was a toy store, which had Nintendo games. But in between that was a stupid, like, it looks like, you're like, oh, a bookstore, that's cool. But it was a religious bookstore, but they sold the Nintendo Bible games in there. So I don't know if your life was like that, if you ever saw those things. But that was how so there are, and these are the Wisdom Tree games: Bible Adventures, Exodus, Joshua, King of Kings, Spiritual Warfare, and Sunday Fun Day. I would add those in. So for another 6.
All right,
so
I have a proposition for Child Johnny here. I'm making this list. Maxi 15 includes Menace Beach. It doesn't include Sunday Fun Day. But you could swap it out and get basically a free 14 more games if you go for the non-religious version. While
I agree, that would be like a smart streamlined way to do that. But in my world, Maxi 15 didn't exist. I didn't know what that was.
Okay. While I was coming up with this dumb proposition, I realized we fucked something up. Sunday Funday is not a port of Menace Beach. Menace Beach is a standalone video game. Sunday Funday is technically it's a multi-cart that includes Sunday Funday, Fishfall, and like a sing-along Bible thing. But Fishfall is an exclusive game, so Sunday Funday has to count again.
Oh, you have to bring it back to your list?
We're bringing back Sunday Funday.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I did not know that. You can cut that whole segment out about Menace Beach then, because that was all I knew.
No, someone's going to send us an email about how we're wrong, and then they're going to turn the episode off before hearing this part.
Yeah, they're like, these guys don't know anything. And sorry, like, just unless I can tell you what my experience with Menace Beach is. I had a cut up box for it, just like the box cut up, and I gave it to Pat the Nest Punk for $5 at a video game show.
All right,
that we were both
worth getting rid of a cut up box. So you made out.
So he was like, "Do you want this?" He's like, "How much do you want for this?" I'm like, "You can have it for $5 because I don't care." It's just, and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, there you go.
You're probably on YouTube then. Go check 2006 YouTube.
This was 2016 probably.
Oh wow!
So Collector's Quest was already a thing because I was there as the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I had a booth. So, yeah. That was a year that Nick Morgan actually assisted in the booth. So there you go.
Man. All the names making the round.
Oh, yeah. Making the rounds. And that's actually the first show I met Excite Bike Games at.
Neat. Dropping the names. Red the Game Shark. He's at a show too.
Oh, you said it. Why did you say it? It's like saying I don't know, and you can't do that on television. All right. If you need import games, well, guess what? I've got a place for you where you can get them cheap. Cheap Games has all of your import games, and you can get them for cheap by contacting Red the Game Shark. Red the Game Shark. Cheap Games. There we go. Plug over. Let's see. Yeah, that's my list. Anyways, those 19 come back in. We'll add one to your number. But yeah, my 19 come back in to my 661, and we get it up to 680. Clean, or 681 if you want Miracle Piano back in there.
I want Miracle Piano.
Okay. Anyways, that's my dumb list. If you wanted to make the streamlined system, you can, there's a way you could do it. 661 would then be the number. And the point of that, for anyone's like, Johnny, why did you do that? Because we make a lot of assumptions about what people collect and like what we tell people is and isn't the set. Like, that's not a set. You don't have this. It's like, well, do you need to what is the you need to have this thing to make the set? Don't I already have it? If I have Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong and also Donkey Kong Jr. Classics, I have both of those games, right? Like now this is just redundancy. So are you saying I don't own those games on the Nintendo? What are you saying? Are you saying these are different games? Because they're clearly not different games. Are you saying that Mario Duck Hunt is different than Mario and Duck Hunt? Why? Aren't these isn't that just another variation? So we as collectors have made these like finely tuned ideas like, nope. And a lot of it is based on it has a different title, therefore it must count. So anyways, I just I wanted to do, to make you hate everything I said, Tyler. Yeah. And two, I wanted to talk about those assumptions, especially when making lists, because this is the madness that we've followed since this list came out by a guy, who just like, was like buying warehouse game lots and doing all kinds of stuff and just making a list that got out there. Mike Etler, sure. Like renowned video game reseller, Mike Etler. Like that, like what is it? Like, so we took a guy who was clearly profiting on some of this, who also happened to make a list. Like, is that the person we want to get? Like, we used to skewer JJ Games, right? For price charting for a conflict of interest, but we're like, the Mike Etler list for some reason is a sacred object that should never be scrutinized.
I need to clarify, I would never skewer JJ Games for their conflict of interest. I would say there is technically a conflict of interest that they are both charting and selling games, but JJ Games' prices were so good, and they were based on a flawed algorithm, which made them even better. It was good.
By the way, he's JJ Games, he sold so we could focus on price charting. I think I heard. Maybe I heard that.
God.
Don't quote me.
Like, JJ, you had two things going. Price charting, which like in my opinion, like it's okay and it's like half okay, half a little bit of a dumpster fire, maybe a little bit useful. And then JJ Games, like my favorite place to buy video games.
I know.
You chose the wrong thing to focus on.
I mean, Diddy picking data. Like, it's hard for me to argue against picking data.
If you're clearly picking like a thing to become like a central business and go forward, like I think price charting, due to the mind share it already has, and if it were to become like a really useful tool, I think it is obviously the business decision to make. But I mean, price charting is still the same old price charting, so I don't know what he's doing yet. And that JJ Games has been gone for a while.
I mean, doesn't it exist in some other form though?
He sold it to someone who is now running just like a generic shitty game store under the JJ Games name, so who the fuck cares?
Yeah, but if you think about the idea of like having to constantly get in product and everything, data is an easy product to get in a lot. You're always getting it in, and the tax on that is pretty minimal, whereas like the, inflation driving NES games crazy and, the pandemic, you can't control the cost of that, but you can kind of control the cost of being a data warehouse.
All right.
That's my argument. That was my argument pro like price charting and why you would make that decision. That's all. Okay. Anyways, so that's it. I really just wanted to talk about the list in general, and I know you did too. I just wanted to talk about like all the weird things we do and we don't count, why we count them. I wanted to fight about it, but honestly, you should consider all of this stuff and make your own list and not be beholden to a lot of these antiquated ideas on what counts or what doesn't. And like, again, just because I don't count it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be on your list, doesn't need to count for you. Like, I don't put NWC Gold on my list, but and I've said multiple times, NWC Gold is cool. I think it's cooler than the Grays by a long shot. Tyler disagrees. Stefan also disagrees. I think that is like the coolest. Like, to me, as a kid looking at Nintendo Power, that was like the epitome of the thing. The competition cart was just the tool they were using, and like the ultimate prize were these gold carts. Awesome. How cool is that?
The thing is, Stefan's like the Nintendo Power guy. I feel like NWC Gold, as generic of a grail as it is, that should be his holy grail because it's the ultimate Nintendo Power collectible.
I know. I agree.
Well, how can Stefan, of all people, think the gray carts are cooler?
Well, to be fair, he had this opinion earlier before he became fully Nintendo Power guy.
He should have changed his opinion.
I don't know if he has. So, I mean, that's a thing we could ask him. I don't want to say that's currently his opinion.
I just
used to be an opinion. Like,
if people we asked him this off
minds.
The show, like, there's like a 75% chance I would expect him to say like, oh yeah, I'm working on it. We're going to get one.
I mean, I would hope so. Like, what a cool item to like walk around, like to have at the show with, and also have to have a security detail for. Like,
yeah.
Like,
what a cool item to have at the show. A Nintendo World Championships Gold. Yes, I agree.
So cool. I think it's awesome. Anyways, I mean, and that's not to say that the NWC Gray isn't kind of cool. And those are both magnitudes of order cooler than a stadium events, in my opinion. So anyways, that's the list. That was it. I had fun talking about this, Tyler, and I liked yelling at you and like devil's advocating you. That was enjoyable.
I hope everybody deleted Punch-Out from their list. That's my main goal.
Yeah. See, and even in my madness, I didn't delete Punch-Out and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, there are the hotly contested games in every list, the stadium events type things. I think like the mundane things are the place we can make headway. Like maybe we can get people to remove Super Mario Duck Hunt from the NES list because everyone has it anyway, and it doesn't change anyone's collection in the slightest. It just makes the list cleaner, and it makes more sense. I think we can remove all the multi-carts. Like, I guess Sesame Street ABC 123, that might be like an uncommon, somewhat desirable CIB, but you remove all of the other games, and like no one's collection changes. The people who will still want everything will all get those, but we can agree. We can have some harmony in the list if we all just got rid of the multi-carts, John.
Well, I mean, I don't think you can get rid of them. I think they need to be there in some sense. I think they need to be there
at the bottom of the list, and their own separate list of stupid multi-packs.
Sure. And I agree. Like, and if I was collecting and I was going to like remove one, I did the insane thing where I kept the multi-carts, but my actual collector instinct is to do the exact opposite. fuck multi-carts, buy the individuals. Multi-carts are like a last ditch, like gross placeholder. So just to be clear on where I'm actually at in the world of collecting.
All right, are we done with this NES topic, or are we moving on to the second part of the show?
We are moving on to the second part of the show where
we're only 2 hours in. I thought this was like a short to medium length topic. That is wrong. Okay. Everyone has stopped listening.
Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah, let's go on. Second part of the episode. Why'd you cut me off? Let's do it.
Collector Who Plays asks, by the way, this is on our Patreon Discord. So you can go to patreon.com/collectorsquest and donate to us, and you can get access to our Discord. And that's it. When a title is released on both ends of a console's lifespan, or both at the end of a console's lifespan and the beginning of the next console's lifespan, which version do you consider more collectible?
Ooh, tough question.
Give me some examples that aren't Zelda games. I think the
Wario
obvious ones
Woods.
I think of... Wario's Woods, yes. The obvious ones are Zelda Twilight Princess was a GameCube game basically ported to Wii, and then Zelda Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game ported to the Switch.
Every PS5 game.
Oh, fuck all those. Oh, but like, see...
But I mean, that's an excellent question for the yeah, these are all defined, but think about like all this PS5, PS4 stuff that's going to be happening. This, I mean, and there will be collectors there. So think about it from that. That's how I'm going to approach it.
Man, PS4 and PS5 are just like so like iterative and kind of the same thing. Like, I don't even know how to answer that. It's kind of because I'm not interested in that era of collecting, so the questions about like the Zelda games become more interesting. But then you brought up Wario's Woods of all games.
Yeah, brought up twice in the show. Amazing. Anyways, yeah, go ahead. You answer from your perspective, and I'll try and address it the other way because I've thought about it.
Oh, all right. I think I have to take it on a case-by-case basis because... in every case, unless you bring up more cases, in every case I could think of, I think that the version for the older console is actually cooler because a lot of times that will have been the originally developed version and then it was ported. Like Breath of the Wild is very obviously a game designed around the Wii U stupid controller.
There's all the Game Boy Color games that happened that were just Game Boy games.
Like Wario Land 2 is an example where like, oh yeah, like Wario Land 2, I'd rather own the Game Boy version than the Game Boy Color version.
Yeah.
But a lot of it comes down to also, like, I just think that the older console is cooler. Like, I would probably rather play Wario Land 2 on Game Boy Color. When I see a Game Boy box, I get a different emotional reaction than when I see a Game Boy Color box.
Absolutely. So, and that's a big part of it that you touched on. So, talking about collecting is a lot different, especially with the earlier consoles. I want to own the older one. Those end-of-life stuff typically stays more collectible, but I want to probably play the newer version. Usually that's the better version.
Yep.
Not always, but usually. And now, to address it like from the PS4, PS5 era, kind of the same thing. Like, I try to imagine that the end-of-life PS4, and Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, whatever. All of that, like, I try to imagine if everything is holding true from what we knew before, that the old stuff should be more collectible later. Also, it's going to be out sooner. Like, people are looking to upgrade. So as soon as they can, they don't want to buy the old version. So what I liked buying with the PS4 versions was the ones that are the PS5 versions that included PS4 or PS4 that included the upgrade to the PS5. That's what I mean. Like, if I could get those were cool. And then they like have a unique note on them, which is kind of interesting. And the PS5 version doesn't say anything. It's just like, if you look at Lego Star Wars, for instance, the Skywalker saga that was released not too long ago, that game came out for everything. But on the PS4, it had the upgrade to the PS5. And when you put that in the PS5, it just said, which version do you want to download? Do you want to download the PS4 or the PS5 one? Like, that you're going to be playing? Because basically the disc is just a code to, just a safety feature at this point. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll download the PS5 version. I get the benefit of both. That's awesome. And the PS5 version is just like, well, yeah, you you got that, and that's more likely people will get that, and when they're selling their consoles, I imagine that those will be in the discount box because like this, we only had this many games and this was popular, so it was popular enough to be on both consoles, so it's probably going to be an item that there are a lot of on the newer system. So that's part of my reasoning.
All right.
Anyways,
I'll agree with your reasoning on that stuff.
all right.
Follow-up question. I think this is a great question. If titles like Little Samson and Flintstones Dinosaur Peak were released on the Super Nintendo, would the NES titles be more or less collectible? Who thinks about that?
I don't know. Why did you think about that?
Right?
I have no. I think probably a little bit, yeah, because
more or less collectible.
Less collectible. I'm going to say
I 100% think they would be less collectible.
Because they're just out there more. They're more commonplace. It's not the rarity behind it, the uniqueness of it. It kind of disappears.
Yeah. So, I mean, assuming like these are games coming out in like 1992 when like SNES is just starting, like people would have bought Little Samson on Super Nintendo. It would not have been as rare as the NES version. And then all of a sudden, like, it's no longer this mysterious thing. Like, a lot of Little Samson is hype. As good of a game as Little Samson is, there are a ton of good NES games, and Little Samson is basically expensive because it is super hyped.
I mean, there's also accessibility too.
What's up?
Also accessibility now because more of them exist.
Yeah, and if there was a Super Nintendo version, it doesn't matter how much worse the Super Nintendo version is, or it could even be better. There would be people who just like dismiss the NES version. They're like, "Oh, that's the old one. I'm gonna pick up Kid Clown for the Super Nintendo. Why do I need the Nintendo version?"
Oh man, child version of me? Absolutely. I don't want this old stuff. Give me the new.
Yeah. Yeah, and also just in general, exclusives are cooler. And I realized that basically for games released on NES and SNES, a lot of times they're just two kind of interpretations of the same game. They're not really the same game. But yeah, exclusives are cooler. The fact that people can't play Little Samson, unless they legally download it, that's a selling point to people in terms of collectability.
Agree.
One more, Johnny. Strange asks, do you think the PlayStation VR subset will be desirable or collectible in the future? Like, 100% absolutely. Yes.
Yep, agree.
Agree. One of the most collectible PlayStation subsets.
Super interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting. I have no interest in like modern PlayStation games, and I bet like all of those games are like Oculus games and stuff, and like maybe there's some PlayStation exclusive stuff in there, but like if there was a modern set for me to collect, I would 100% think of PlayStation VR as one of the first.
I've thought about the VR games. I cringe because there's like a couple VR games through limited run. I'm like, man, if I ever want this VR set, I'm going to have to go get these. Ooh. But yeah, like VR.
No, just start widely selling that they don't count.
Oh, okay.
Another thing in its favor, like, so like PlayStation, I mean, like obviously huge brand. PSVR, not obscure, but not like a mega hit, crazy, like Kinect super selling thing. It sold like 5 million copies, which is like getting on that bubble of like, well, this is like not a super successful thing, and there's only a few games for it. It gets into like that almost Sega Saturn realm. God, I'm not calling PlayStation VR the next Sega Saturn, but I think there's a comparison.
So let me ask you this: Is the PlayStation VR a different console? Is it a subset of the PS4 or is it its own console?
No, it's
why? Why is the 32X
games run
its own
on a
console?
PlayStation 4 or 5,
but
right?
They need this other thing to be used, right? They need this other thing plugged into the PlayStation to use it.
Is the PlayStation Move a different console because you need a unique controller and a camera?
No, we're not talking like you need the headset. Like you need that headset for the game to work. And it's got a transmitter box that has to plug into it. It's got other hardware that needs to be attached.
Yeah, the PlayStation Eye is other hardware that needs to be attached.
No. Look, the 32X needs the Genesis hardware to run, right? So it's just like a peripheral then that adds onto it.
Maybe we're going to count the 32X game. We're going to think about that.
All right.
We're gonna. That's something that I can't even. I don't have time to discuss all this with you.
Man, I'm glad I have a modern example of the 32X argument.
I mean, like 1,000,000%. I think everybody go buy all the PlayStation VR games and hype them and make them all super expensive. Maybe they are super expensive. Like I have no concept of how expensive.
Send me your list. Send me your list.
I looked at the Wikipedia list and it's 700 games long, so I'm going to assume that like 90% of those are digital. Let me look. I'm going to look up a random PlayStation VR game. I'm sorry for wasting everybody's time on this show, but I literally don't know anything about PS. Oh my god, none of these.
Batman.
This is all hardware.
Batman. There's Sweet Home, not Sweet Home. Home Sweet Home.
Is that a regular release? It's not like limited run games.
Yeah, no, regular.
Um,
It's part of a series of what's it? It's
it's
like
Home
the
Sweet
Until Dawn. Yeah, Home Sweet Home. Yeah, it's like it's the Until Dawn guys.
We're gonna find it. Oh, you got it brand new for $45. Oh yeah, this game's like $30 and it's all over the place. Okay. Oh, a lot of these are Japanese versions. But no, this isn't that bad to buy. Not that I would expect it to, because this is like still a thing. Like you could still use your PSVR with PS5, right? Anyway,
I mean, you probably could, but you used it like 3 times and then you put it back in the box and we're like, okay, that was a pain in the ass. Let's never do that again.
I mean, that's a reason that is interesting.
Yeah.
It's such a gimmick.
Too many wires. Too many. Like, it was cool. I played Resident Evil 7 on it. And yeah, what a pain in the ass.
All right. Super hype. Everyone go get them. What else we got? What are you buying? What are you playing, Johnny?
What am I buying? What am I playing? No, what are you buying?
What am I buying?
Yeah, what'd you buy?
Johnny, I got cool? Hellfire for the Sega Genesis with the registration card. Whoa!
Oh, you did it.
I've had this saved search for so long.
You love talking about this game.
What? I brought it up on the Discord because I was so excited I finally found one.
I mean, you and I have talked privately about this individual item. I'm glad you got it. I'm excited you got it.
So I'm not. I have a lot of Sega Genesis games that are probably missing a poster, missing a registration card. But when I get to like the top of the top stuff, I want to have the best version of the best thing. My Musha does not have a registration card, and I'm just not buying another Musha. It's just not worth it for me to like deal with flipping a $600 game or whatever that goes for. And the premium for Musha, there's a significant premium for Mushas that include the registration card. But Hellfire, a still expensive yet much cheaper game than Musha, has the same exact registration card, and that's closer to like $150, $200 game. So I've had this save search forever, waiting for someone to fuck up and list a Hellfire for a normal price, even though it has the registration card. And finally I got my copy of Hellfire, which I will immediately throw into the garbage and take the registration card out of.
All right, yeah, but give me that manual first.
Okay. Give you the manual of my $150 game, which will turn it into basically a $0 game that I will never be able to sell.
I'll just buy the game from you and then I'll sell it.
Okay. I don't remember if I brought it up on the previous show, Johnny. The quest for Thelda for the TRS-80 is a port of The Legend of Zelda to TRS-80 that was made in either the late 80s or early 90s. It's super copyright infringing. I don't know how it exists. It sure exists. It's a really weird thing. And then I got Max Play Classic Games Volume 1 for the GameCube and PlayStation 2.
Woo!
Johnny, this is the only unlicensed game for both of those consoles, I think. I would not be surprised if there was another unlicensed PS2 game. Because I know there's software for the PS2, like HD Loader and things like that. I have never heard of an unlicensed GameCube game. This was made by Code Junkies and Daytel. So basically the same people who make like Game Shark Action Replay stuff, or specifically Action Replay. They made this is a European only game. It's like 10 bootleg arcade games. Like, it doesn't have Space Invaders. It has Invaders. It doesn't have Breakout. It has Paddle Panic. And they just... I don't know why it exists. Daytel is clearly not good at making games. They've also made Game Boy Color games in Europe. Rocket Games for the Game Boy Color. A bunch of awful unlicensed games. And they did the same thing for GameCube and PS2. And I'm like, yes, that is something I want to own. So I bought both copies. They're like $20 each. They're not that bad. Weird.
You did it.
Yeah. The only unlicensed GameCube game. Wow. Curiosities. Wow. That's it. I don't think I've been playing anything interesting. So I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. What am I playing? I'm going to quickly tell you what I'm playing, or what I was playing. I was playing The Last of Us 2 until I got right to the end of the game, where you go through the final compound and then go to the shore. I'm right there. I'm literally right there. I have to climb a train car to get there, and I encountered a game-breaking bug where I can't climb the ladder, Tyler. Every time I attempt to climb the ladder, I merge. It like jumps me halfway up the ladder and merges me in in like a stranded animation pose. You know, the arms to the side, like weirdly, like Blair Witch in a corner, like on the train car. Can't move, can't do anything. I can spin the camera around. I can access all my menus and everything, but I cannot climb the ladder. It does not matter what I do. Resetting, reloading the save, starting over. None of that matters. Also, I've had insomnia. So I went and I played hard. I was just like, all right, I'm just going to play this until I literally fall asleep doing this, because my brain will not shut off at all. And I can just do this and not think. So I did that for like, I don't know, like 9 hours, Tyler, in the wee hours of the night. That was the last time I made another save. So my save before this one, if I wanted to restore it, would be 9 hours away. And then there's no guarantee that if I replayed through it, that I wouldn't encounter the same bug. I don't know why.
Oh, that's the best part.
I don't know. And so I was like, God damn, I have no idea what to do. I just stopped. I'm like, and I'm in New Game Plus. I'm just like, what do I even do? And I have like some weird, dude, how dissatisfying that is. You go through the whole thing and just, I can't do anything.
I have to imagine they'll fix it. I mean, but the weird part is this, you're playing the original game? Like, because that game's been out for a while, you would think that they have fixed all the major bugs, right?
Yeah, and I'm playing, I don't understand what's happening. Like, I don't know if this was a patch and then no one's played it since or something and got to this point. I don't know what's going on. It's so confusing.
I mean, people must be beating Last of Us 2 every single day, Johnny.
I know, and I checked.
It's a really popular game.
Yes, so I figured, oh man, this has got to come up a lot, right? So I'll go to Google and be like, hey guys, anyone? No one is talking about this, but everybody talks about how shitty ladders are in The Last of Us 2. If you haven't played The Last of Us or The Last of Us 2, the games are phenomenal. I love both of them. Last of Us 1, clearly the better game, more engaging, better story, everything. Yeah, it's all true. But Last of Us 2 is still fantastic. Weird, great environment. All this is all great, except ladders. Ladders in this game are like, in both games, are tedious. Just why did they make the ladder function a thing that people have had to Google multiple times? Just check it out. Like if you write Last of Us and ladders into Google, you will see multiple entries about people hating using ladders of any kind in the game. It's just not their most polished mechanic. Anyways, but this is not the same as not being able to climb the ladder. This is like, or have it be weird and like I just can't get the controls right. This is like I attempt to climb it and the game bugs out and does something weird. So I'm super frustrated and I want to scream because I'm right there at the end. It's the ultimate tease. It's like, do you want to beat it? Oh, you're like 15, 30 minutes away from the end, but guess not. You want to gamble and go back 9 hours and do this all again? And I'm just like, no, I don't. And people are like, oh, well, you can just go do the level select. No, I can't because I'm on New Game Plus and I want to beat it for the first time on New Game Plus.
What the fuck is New Game Plus, by the way? What does that give you?
It just like so you go through the first game and you're kind of like, strapped for resources because you're not going to get enough like craftable material to upgrade all of your stuff. So now you've got like, you keep all of your stuff that you had before. Basically, you just kind of go through a little bit overpowered. So you put the game on a harder difficulty, but your guns are all leveled up and you don't have to worry about like, I'm scrounging around for scrap bits the whole time because I really want to like make sure that when I craft an arrow, I craft 2 instead of 1, so you've got all that stuff on lock. Also, if you didn't know, Last of Us 2 has and I don't know if they did this on Last of Us 1, I'll have to check, but they have like a crazy customizable difficulty level which is awesome. Like you can choose different parts. Like there's a lot of resources, but the enemies are really hard. Like you can customize.
Don't do that. I don't like that.
Oh,
I don't really like selectable difficulty to begin with. I mean, it's okay depending on the game. I think Last of Us is fine for it. But I am paying the game developers to give me the right experience. I the player, am not a game designer. I cannot design the right experience.
Yeah, well, I the basic difficulty levels are there just when but this is once you get to New Game Plus. You can like change these weird, like you can do weird stuff.
Okay,
I think
so it's like 007 mode in GoldenEye.
Yeah, a little bit. You can also you also have these extras that you can turn on. Like you can turn on like weird filters to make it look like you're playing in a comic book. You can also like turn on unlimited ammo and stuff once you beat it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
There's just
giving you the keys to having fun that games used to just give you via cheat codes, and now they're like, no, you can't have fun in games anymore. Stop it.
Yeah. So, I mean, now it's just like, oh, you've got just a selectable mode. You can just go do it. Anyways, that's what I've been playing, and now I guess I'm done playing it.
Oh, God awesome. Damn it. Woo! Happy.
Dude,
I hope you didn't get that trophy that you wanted.
I didn't. That's the other annoying part.
No closure. You'll just have to remember forever that, like, I mean, kind of technically I beat it. I was right there.
Now I'm just like, please remaster Last of Us 2 so I can just go play the remastered version. God damn it. So, yeah. Anyways, I was just like, yeah, I'll run through this real quick because Last of Us 2 Remaster is coming out. So I'm going to just like get all warmed up and, I love the Last of Us. I can't talk about it enough. Can't hand them my money soon enough. Anyways, that's what I've been playing. Hey, what I bought, you want to know a dumb thing that I had to buy? So I love talking about this on the show. Funko Pops, Tyler. Love bringing up Funko
I heard they're
Pops.
starting grading. They're going to grade those, Johnny. Good time
awesome.
to buy.
Yeah. I made sure I got mint packages and definitely don't open them and throw the boxes away because that's what I do, like a monster. So one of my I know it's a circus of value and I throw it right in the garbage. One of my wife's favorite movies is Coraline. Do you know this movie?
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman? Okay. Anyway, she loves Coraline. Loves it. Loves the book, loves the movie, loves the graphic novel. She loves Coraline, okay? And a long time ago when these Pops came out, I was like, you love this stuff and there's not like a lot of Coraline collectibles out there. Do you like want one of these Pops or something? And she was like, nah, I don't. Like, what if they make 100 of them? Then I'm going to be stuck with all these Pops and I'll want all of them. Turns out they only made 8. And then she's like, you know what? I really want those Funko Pops. So, she doesn't know it yet, but I went and bought her like 4 of them. But they all got like really expensive, Tyler. They're all like $50 to $120 now.
That is dumb as shit. Oh, I can't believe you bought those.
I bought some of them. I got 4 of them for $140, which was actually like a pretty good deal on it. There's like, one of them's like a dumb variant that I'm not buying. It's like the same as the original one, and they put like sparkly stuff on its coat. I'm like, what the fuck? Get out of here. It's called diamond coating. So dumb. Like, what a dumbass variant. Just the other ones are like cool. She's in a different outfit.
Funko Pops love their variants. You should get the all gold Coraline.
Yeah, gross. Anyways, and like there's different variations if you buy them from like package variations depending which country you buy them from. Woo! Don't care. Anyways, the Diamond Collection one is literally they just made it sparkly. It's so stupid. And they called it a special edition. How much does it cost
for a Diamond Coraline?
Oh, it's like $80. It's like not that interesting. So it's like I mean, the regular one is like $60 to $70 of the same version. So
the thing is, who is buying the sparkly Coraline Funko Pop? Because all right, yes, there's people like your wife, the Coraline super fan. But like, are Funko Pop collectors like who have no attachment to Coraline as a franchise just like, well, that's the rare Coraline. I guess I gotta spend $80 on my sparkly Coraline.
Yeah, they do.
Figure. Just like,
because they're like, oh, the all gold one, the all silver one. Like I don't understand. Like, I really hate. It's so lazy when collectibles do this. They do this for lots of collectibles. They're like, we're just gonna make this a monochrome one, so it's the same figure you've already seen, but we made it monochrome. Yeah. It's gold now, so you want it.
We put the cheapest plastic in here, so we didn't have to do anything with it.
Think about like the gold Mario amiibo and the gold Mega Man. It's like, no, that doesn't make it cooler. That makes it stupid. Stop it. Not into it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I bought some dumbass pops. Made me sad. There was a lot of sadness there, and it was clearly the most expensive thing that I had to buy in this iteration of my purchasing. I also bought some Halloween stuff, which I don't really want to talk about yet because we're not there. And let's see, did I buy anything I can even talk about? No, I did not. Mr. Sib, though, did send me some Game Boy Color games. Throwback there, Mr. CIB. Thanks, bud. I think I mentioned it before, but he got me some Game Boy Color stuff, which I think I rattled off. But yeah, that's it. Kind of, I'm not going to say it's dry because I've been buying video games, but they're all for Halloween. All
right. We can save them. I just want to say, I am looking at Coraline Funko Pops, and there are so many on eBay. Like, this is probably not a surprise, but guys, they mass produce Funko Pops. There are so many. How are some of these priced at $180 when there are 159 results? And I know there are 6 of them. Wow. But Jesus.
Look, man, I am with you. I don't understand. Like, and these aren't even that expensive, like compared to like a lot of pops. Anything that once it's vaulted, which is the terminology, then they get super expensive.
Oh, what? They literally retire Funko Pops? I just assume like they put them out there and then like sell it a little bit. They have a specific retirement system.
Yeah, they're vaulted.
Why would you draw the parallel between yourself and Beanie Babies like that?
Because it's making all the money.
Like, I don't know, like, do people still care about Supreme? But Supreme as a brand, they'll just like sell something and then it'll be gone. They're not like, guys, we're retiring the Supreme brick. You can't buy the Supreme brick anymore. No, you were either there and you got it or you didn't. I don't know. What am I talking about? Like, they're making so much fucking money. Like, I can't help these guys in business, obviously.
Yeah. Clearly, we are wrong and they are right, so we should shut up.
Johnny, you jogged my memory about a game I did play.
Oh, what'd you play?
This game was called Ninja Gaiden for the NES. Oh. So I was on this trip with my friend, and one night, I just blow through Ninja Gaiden on his Switch because he has, like, all the NES games.
Oh, how was it on the Switch for you?
It was fine. There's a little bit of input lag on my Marriott TV, but it seemed fine. Oh, no, actually, no, it sucked. The stupid NES games, they put a border around the NES game with, like, a menu for, like, how to, like, pause the game or some shit. And you can't make it full screen, as far as I know. What the fuck? It, like, all right, I'm not gonna. It's not like the most annoying thing in the world to me. I can tune it out if I have to, but it just makes it seem like this is like a mini game. You are not actually here to sit down and have an experience with this video game. This is just something you're booting up to just like fuck around with for 5 minutes. And we're not gonna let you put it full screen because no one's gonna like seriously play an NES game. What are you, crazy? That's what it feels like how they're treating NES games.
It's probably true.
All right. Anyway. So I blow through Ninja Gaiden, have a great time. Next night, I just boot up Ninja Gaiden and just blow through it again. And he's just like, what are you doing? You already played Ninja Gaiden. And I just have to be like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is the game. Like, yeah, you've got like access to like 80 different games here. But like, no, you just play the same game over and over. And like, yeah, no, I'm not trying to get better at it. I'm not like going to become a speedrunner. And, like, there's nothing for me really to get better at in terms of just beating the game. Like, I beat this game all the time. But, yeah, no, I just run through the same game and don't get better at it. And that is fun to me. And that is just, I guess, not how a lot of people play video games. Yeah. But, whatever. If you're playing Rocket League, what the fuck are you doing? You're doing the same 5-minute match over and over again. And if you're good at the game, you're just going through the same motions over and over again. So what if I want to do that with a Nintendo game sometimes?
I agree. Yeah, you're just like, oh, this is fun. Let's keep doing it.
Also,
games are like comfort food, though. I like the stuff I like.
Absolutely. It's like watching your favorite movie again. Like, I know it's going to happen, but you know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's great. That's why it's my favorite. Let's keep going.
I was at a barbecue tonight, and someone sat down next to me and asked me what video games I was playing, and I had to think about it for a minute, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I just played through Golden Axe Warrior on the Sega Master System, and I could not have shut down a conversation about video games faster than that.
Oh man,
That was it.
you were so boring. You were so boring.
Just like, man, no one wants to talk about a Sega Master System game, Johnny. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, murdering conversations dead. They're like, well, yeah, what big video, which AAA title are you currently playing? Because I guess you like video games, and you're like, well, you
know
like,
what? He wasn't even like a super modern. He wanted to talk about Street Fighter Third Strike, so it's not even like he was only into modern stuff. But still, Sega Master System was a step too far.
I mean, that's true for most people. That's why we don't do Sega Master System episodes. Lose all our viewers. It would
be like the Odyssey 2 episodes. People would be like, "What is this? I'm out."
Yeah. Whoa. We don't want this. Stop it.
And then I'm sure we have like listeners from other territories who are like, first of all, they would be like, "You got everything about the Sega Master System wrong," but then they would get mad at us for our opinions in that episode anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. They know we come from a place of love and contempt.
Yes, sure.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think we're done with this episode. How long is this episode?
2 hours, 2.5
hours. That's not the worst.
No. All right. Tell people where to find you.
I'm Default Gen, Default GEN. Get me on the Instagram Video Game Sage or Discord. Yep. I have some number. You could probably find it somehow.
Yeah. And you can find me on Instagram, kind of. And our Discord. Oh, I'm like, do I have anything else? I forgot to mention, though, Tower, a game I did buy, and I got us both a copy. Silly Bands.
Why are you like this?
What do you mean, why am I like this? Why do I buy my friend gifts?
Yes. Okay. Silly Bands for the DS or 3DS?
DS. Sealed. Yeah.
I think...
Go ahead.
It is an interesting thing. The only reason it's not interesting is because it is like available by the absolute caseload sealed for like $5 a copy.
Literally was shown an auction available for like 50 of them or something for like $100, and I almost bought it. I was very tempted.
I mean, are there DS case variants? Like, that's excellent if you could just get DS cases like that. But if there's like shitty late print DS cases, then that's not.
I don't know. But yeah, like you're like $2 a case. That's great. I mean, DS cases are everywhere because people would just throw them away at GameStop, and then people would go into the dumpsters and take them.
But I don't want dumpster ones. If I can get for $2 a brand new case and it's the same variant, hell yeah, I'm there.
Anyways, yeah. And I did consider it, not for the cases, just because I thought it would be funny to own a case of them and then just hand them out to people randomly.
Sure.
It's like, here you go. Have a Silly Bands. Thanks for playing.
Anyway, neither of us know what this game is, but it comes with a pack of collectible rubber bands. And if you want to get into video games you can own that come with strange things, as dumb as it is and as absolutely common as it is, that is a unique thing to have in your video game collection.
Immediately, the minute I was shown, I was like, oh yeah, you showed me. I'm like, oh, 100% I'm buying this. There's no chance I'm not buying this. Especially when I'm like, this is $4? Of course I'm buying it. Then I'm like, I'm going to buy one for Tyler too, because the seller had 2 of them. I'm like, yeah, I'll take both of these. This guy's going to be so relieved. He's like, and I only have to ship it to one person? Thank goodness.
Yeah, that guy is super relieved. And he's like, man, why is this guy investing in Silly Bands? What's going on?
No, he doesn't know. If he would have had 3, I would have bought 3.
What is this? This game looks a little like Scribblenauts. I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to play the Silly Bands game, Johnny.
Don't do it until we meet up in Portland. Anyways, yeah, we're going to be in Portland. So if you guys want to come out and see us, we will have a booth with Mr. Sib there in our booth sharing with us. Major contributor for that booth, so don't want to undersell that. Yeah, come join us. We will have some things for sale, some good stuff. So you don't want to miss that. And plus, Portland, we're going to probably be there Thursday. We'll probably be doing some stuff. So for listeners who will be there, something to think about if you want to maybe come hang out where we might go do some stuff. All right, that's it. You got anything else you want to say? If not, I got one last word for you, Tyler.
Wait, I have one piece of errata. It's not Scribblenauts. It's Angry Birds is what the Silly Bands game is. You shoot rubber bands like Angry Birds.
Ah.
Anyway,
Right.
you can say a word now.
Bye!
Hey, that's our show. I guess One Piece of Errata, Escape from Atlantis was actually an unreleased Color Dreams game, not Wisdom Tree. As if anyone was gonna gotcha me on that. Thank you to 8-Bit, A-P-E-Bit, like the monkey, 8bit.bandcamp.com. He does our intro music. And thank you to the patrons. I think we got 4 new patrons. And I mean, I'm behind on giving people nicknames here, but that's a lot of new patrons. Richard, patron number 1, Bowden, still the first patron, man. What a surprise. Canadian Variant Alert, Chris Glidden, Nintendo World Champion, Daniel Jacksvick, High-End Collector, Andrew Brim. Also, I forgot, this show was edited a week late, and I know sometimes we kind of push back the schedule. My goal is for this to not push back the schedule, because we did that too recently, so there should be another episode next week. 50 Hertz is good enough for me, Andre. Video games were meant to be slabbed. Brandon Ackley, Brian Gupta, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky. The Strictly Limited Super Rare Bruno. Coin Operated Cameron Couch. Fat Cat Collector Chris Jackson. Chris SNK. Too Many Morozek. Johnny's GBA Hookup. Coffee with Mr. Saturn. Playing with Power. Connor Strange. The Last Game You Need for the Set. Corey O'Brien. I can't believe I didn't make a Corey in the House joke about that. I mean, not that I should make a Corey in the House joke about someone named Corey, but I mean, it's a Nintendo DS game. Unpunched Hang Tab, Dustin Beagle, he has returned to judge this city, Eric Addison, Man of Nintendo in the World of Nintendo, Funky Brewster, what do you buy in GBO Metric, another vinyl collector, really, Grizzly X Bear, the actual Shinobi, Jasonic the Kid, Red Pyramid Thing, Jonathan Shados, Joseph Garris, he's just out here having a good time, achieving his goals, proud of you. The Nintendo Tape Archivist, Joseph Leo, Lance Lord, Hardstyle Z, Commander Mark Halstead, and this is his favorite store on the Citadel, The Degenerate, Matt Fall, Mint Condition Mora Bros. I've got the nicknames repeated in my head too much. Mr. CIB, get your loose Genesis carts out of here! Nicholas Mad Dog McCree DiMaggio, Funkoland employee, platform agnostic, Red the Game Shark, the Famicom Box, retro game enthusiast, they could beat Ghosts and Goblins twice, Shefish, Sean, the Gamer Collective, the New Craft, who could beat Mega Man without the pause trick, previously unknown variant, Tim Walker, from the internet, Todd Fisher, can't put limits on collecting, VG Collectaholic, The Millennium, Will Joe, Keeper of the Zelda variant, Zero X Dev Code, previous game collector, Adam Kavanaugh, getting the full PS2 set because Stefan won't, all caps. Exclusive insider information. Stefan might start collecting a video game set again. I'm just telling you guys what I heard. It's probably not going to be PS2 though. No gods or kings, only Andy Lancaster. What a 9.8 A++ Benji, the actually rare Bird Dog Gaming, dropping the Mario 64 penguin off the map, Brandon Chalker, Brandon Rogers, whose favorite episode is the wrestling episode, Christopher Piper, still shaking from what he found at Goodwill, still finding deals in 2022, Colton Murphy, and I know what everyone's thinking. There are 2 Brandons right next to each other, and there are 2 nicknames that include the word still right next to each other. And yes, it bothers me too. But it's just alphabetical. I think. I don't really know how this is sorted. A winner is him, David Green, Derek Lauer, who made me edit this show. I let you down, not gonna let it mess up the schedule. Don Libby, the hero of time. Double Ugly presents Double Ugly, the official game of the movie. Actually understands the Zelda timeline. Jeff Pierce, Jeff the Game Boy Ferris, he is Error, Jeff Russell, Jeremy Jarvis here for the Pog Talk, Jeremy Matson, and the Order of No Quarter. Joe actually plays his games Champ Pity, video game art collector because video games are art. Justin Chachio, Strand Type Game, Chris Shipley, Lateral Movement, who's got a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up. What a horrible night to have living in bits. Michael, posting on the Discord right now, TR Monty, or he's on the LJM podcast. Every episode, we just got to tell people, go listen to the Lost Joystick Network. It's so much fun. I love Nintendo games. I don't know what else I could say. Nancy Hollenbach, Pro Skater, Nick the Video Game Database Morgan, Homebrew Mastermind, Divertov, Off the Map, NZ Collector, the other guy who collects Korean releases, Peaceful Games, Dungeon Master, Reed Stubenik, The Promoter, Retro RPG Podcast, Tex, who collects for Jaguar, Tom, Obscure Variant Chaser Chase, Zaventorian, he knows all 97 Nintendo games, and I'm just gonna say it, Zaventorian, the patron with the coolest name, and some of you guys have some pretty cool names. 32 bits or less, do the math! Andrew actually collecting Engage O, Ben Parker, a bad enough dude to rescue the president, Chesno, all your base belong to him, Colby, he is Sinistar, Corhagen does what Nintendo don't, Daniel McArdle, who thought this was the Retronauts Patreon, the Modern Database, Danny Gomez, Darius Sadat, welcome to Die! I don't know if that was a good impression. I got to go watch the like a YouTube clip of the game. But if anyone doesn't know, the X-Men arcade game, one of the first things that happens in that game is Magneto comes up to you and says, "X-Men, welcome to Die!" And then he kind of destroys the ground under you and you fall. It's brilliant. One of the dumbest lines in video game history. The Philatelist, Dork Overlord, My Childhood PlayStation Idol, Game-Rave.com, Rip and Tear, Jackson Kubler, He is 8-Bit, John Brown, Joseph Rogers got 50,000 on Double Dragon, Collector of Everything, including Atari, Kalen McAteer, Video Game Console Modding Guy, MP3, Sam, Sega Mark III Marks, Sean the Video Game Illuminati LaCroix, and Hedgemon of the Geek Empire, Veldor the Great. Thank you guys so much.